All right. Y'all think I'm late, right? Y'all should already know it's not 6 o'clock on a Wednesday. It's 8:07 on a Wednesday, which means welcome back, Team DWC. It's your boy TWP Popcorn. 8 o'clock on Wednesday, it ain't consistent corn. You know, I had to go make a little $200 today. Shout out to that $200 play, which, you know, if you didn't get you $200 on the last day of the year, hey, get you a monetization coach. We're going to make sure that you have some skills that people are more than willing to pay you for having for you to get your money in so you can have you some fun in. You dig? Like I said, this is the pre-countdown show. I'm going to take up as much time as I'm going to take up, but the story that is advertised in the thumbnail will not be to the end of the videos. Shout out to the end of the videos because, you know, we're going to talk about a story. I ain't even going to tell you about it. You know what I'm saying? For the people that's late, they'll actually have a surprise this show because they'll be like, oh, I didn't even know he was going to tell us a story. I just clicked the video because I saw it was popcorn, which I appreciate that part of the game. You know, support the people that support you. Anyways, my glasses look a little bit cleaner. You know, clean glasses. I don't want y'all telling me in the comments, man, clean your glasses. You got some caked up cake on that motherfucker. You got cake and icing on that deal. But anyways, let me flip this camera around. Hey, round. This, is you fucking with me or not? It sound like Dad still got one last project that he finishing up. Appreciate that. Got all mine done. Oh, shit. Anyway, let's go ahead and start some videos because you already know the big homie made me this intro beat. Appreciate that part of the game.
In court, 3 of the 4 people arrested during last week's marijuana raids faced a judge for the first time today. NBC5's Christine Pidewanez was in the courtroom. She joins us now live from the Jackson County Courthouse with more. Christine.
Laura, you know, it wasn't too long ago, actually around 5 o'clock, that roughly 30 protesters took up the spot over at Alba Park, then walked all the way down West 8th Street here to the Jackson County Courthouse. And it was here that they gathered in support of those who were arrested.
Let's not kills! Let's not kills!
About 30 people took to the streets,
Marijuana is medicine!
chanting and holding signs, demonstrating from Alba Park to the Jackson County Courthouse.
Marijuana is medicine!
It was this marijuana raid at 8 locations throughout Jackson and Josephine County last week that's causing outrage and put 4 people behind bars. We're told one of them, Michael Shano, was released.
It's been very emotional and very traumatizing to all of us.
Tuesday afternoon, Lori and Leland Duckworth, who run So Normal, a cannabis center in Medford, were arraigned.
And I believe, in her heart that she did nothing wrong.
They're charged with conspiracy to commit unlawful delivery of a controlled substance within 1,000 feet of a school.
This is an alleged conspiracy, and conspiracy is not as easy to prove legally as people say it is.
Charges stem from allegations that marijuana was being sold illegally from storefronts. The sales allegedly between people who did not have a grower-patient relationship.
We never sold anything. We're nonprofit. We don't make money.
In addition to the Duckworths, David James Bond was also arraigned. Lori Duckworth and David Bond put in pleas of not guilty. Leland Duckworth did not plead either way. Meanwhile, bail still stands at $550,000 for the Duckworths.
There's people that are convicted of attempted murder that have a $250,000 bail, and yet these people have double the bail of somebody that convicted murder, which is, to me, unheard of.
Let's not kills!
Now, police say the raid was a result of an 18-month-long investigation by Medford area drug and gang enforcement. It's expected Leland and Lori Duckworth, as well as David Bond, will be back in court on June 17th for a pre-trial conference. Live here at the Jackson County Court, Christine Pitawanich, NBC 5 News.
I don't know what Jackson County that was in, but it looked like it was Kansas City at first, but it doesn't sound like it is. I don't know why they would have I-5 on there. I don't even know where the hell I-5 is. Hey, wherever that highway is, go ahead, check in the comments and let me know, man. Y'all, you know, I do my own homework, but sometimes y'all can help me out in the comments. Appreciate that, though. You know what I mean? Oh, what is you doing? Don't be going to sleep on me. Oh, that video just got a long blank into it. See, this is exactly why we do these live, so I can catch that shit off the bat.
My little nephew came in the house the other day, me and my brother, we were playing pool. He came in, he said, hey, Daddy, what's the difference between a hypothetical question and a realistic question? Well, you know, my brother, he kind of stupid too, you know. Hypothetical. He said they basically mean the same, but sometimes they be different, you know. He said, for example, go upstairs and ask your mother, will she make love to the mailman for $250,000? My nephew ran upstairs, came back 10 minutes later. He said, Daddy, Mama said she'll fuck the mailman, the milkman, and any other man for $250,000. He said, well, I see. He said, well, son, go downstairs and ask your sister, will she make love to the next door neighbor for $250,000? He ran downstairs, came back 15 minutes later, and said, Father, sister said she'll fuck the next door neighbor, the neighborhood, and the next block for $250,000. My brother looked at me, I looked at him. I said, tell him, man, tell him. He said, let me tell you something. Son, hypothetically speaking, we should have $500,000. He said, but realistically speaking, son, we living with two hoes.
Hey, like I said, go get your money, Ray.
Hey guys, how you doing? 420 Scene here. Real quick, join our free Discord. A link is going to be in the pinned comment and description down below. And of course, drop that fat like on the video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. So today we're going to be talking about Trump's rescheduling, what it really means and how it impacts the industry for everyone. Now, before we do get started, I'm just going to let you know that I do not care at all about what political party you support or represent. This is just straight up facts, so hey, you got a problem? Oh well. Before we do get started with today's video, if you want to hang out with me on a more chill yet unfiltered setting and want to get in on our Elite Cut Genetics bean giveaway, where you get a chance to win the exclusive Blue Octane crossed with Cherry Trop strain, follow and subscribe to us over on Twitch at Radscene. Literally the only way to get your hands on the Blue Octane Cherry Trop cross. So if you got Amazon Prime and want to show further support at no cost, drop your free Twitch Prime subscription during my next live stream, and you're never going to have to worry about ads on Twitch. So again, it's absolutely free. We go live Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, so I'll see you there. Plus, if you join a free Discord, you're going to get notified every time we go live anyway. Having said that, let's start off with this and see who gets mad. I can see it already. I think it's great that Trump passed rescheduling reform, but don't get it twisted, because the Biden administration, they're the ones that got the ball rolling back in October of 2022. Oh, I know somebody got butthurt already. This does not make it federally legal in any way, and it doesn't change the penalties for the dank. It just makes it less dangerous on paper. And we all know it's not dangerous, but now I guess the government is officially noticing that it's not dangerous, or maybe the country's debt is so high, or maybe it's the economic pressure from Americans, but now cannabis is looked at in the same way way as Tylenol with codeine. I would also not read into this as trying to decipher my political stance, because it's gotten to the point where, listen, guys, all right, it's about what's best for our pockets. Gas, groceries, cost of living, property taxes, shit like that. That's the important stuff. So it went from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. So in other words, it went from being categorized with heroin to being categorized with Tylenol. So I would say on paper, that's a pretty big step in the right direction. This is mostly about cancer research above anything else. Now, does this have to do like anything with legalizing? I would say indirectly, yes, because it's going to allow further advanced research, which is going to benefit the industry in the long run, in my opinion. So look at it as like a snowball effect. Growers and
Well, now they can actually take the research that they had been doing, which was only government only, supposedly. You know, everybody done did some research on weed, right? If you ain't did it, hit me up, man. Hell, we'll get you in the game before it is legalized. That way you can say, I was here before the great legalization moves after they spent 50 to 75 years trying to wait on rescheduling. You know how that goes, though. So, hell, we ain't mad at them. We just ain't gonna let them keep working.
smokers are at the bottom of the chain. It starts with the government, which is going to lead to the research, which is then going to affect the business side of the cannabis industry, you know, like
The Bud Files, good to see you, Sue. How you doing? Hopefully you having a good
and
New Year's
dispensaries,
Eve.
right down to the growers and the smokers.
We know you're gonna keep rocking all 2026,
as far
right?
as who this is affecting and why this is a big deal.
Appreciate
Even though
you
it might not
hi.
look as big of a deal to us right away, it still is a big deal in the long run for the industry. I know there's some people that have issues with reclassification because of it potentially being exposed to kids, and I'm going to go on record and say that I am against kids getting involved with cannabis use. There have been tons of scientific research done over the years, and it does affect the mental development of kids, so I still believe that it should be for adult use only. But at the same time, you can say the same thing about cigarettes and alcohol. I mean, watch any sporting event on TV. How many beer commercials do you see throughout every NFL game on Sunday? So that's where you can counter this argument. Now, if you're going to shit on weed, you're going to have to shit on cigs and alcohol too, because if not, you're full of shit anyway. Now, this executive order is also going to impact the hemp ban. It's going to allow Congress to revisit restrictions on the hemp ban. Now, I personally never actually thought the hemp ban would really happen. Like, okay, it got passed, but I didn't actually think it was going to happen in November of 2026. Like, even though it passed, I just always felt like something would have prevented it from actually being enforced. So look at this as kind of like that loophole. So again, this video has nothing to do with what side of the fence you're on politically. I don't really care what side of the fence you're on. And this isn't a what side are you on type of video. So let's just squash this right here, right now. Now, in my opinion, I think rescheduling is a step in the right direction because legalization is still good on a state level. But I think this is going to open the doors on a more federal level. And it's just going to pave the way for more scientific research, so that way the government can finally pull their heads out of their asses and legalize eventually on a federal level. Now, at the end of the day, cannabis being legalized has nothing to do with your health, okay? Listen, it's all about money. It's always been about money. So we'll have to see what happens, and if there's any other updates or developments, I'll be sure to fill you guys in, maybe in like a part 2 type of video. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens as far as the research side of the industry. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I would really like to read and see what your thoughts are on that. You know, kind of pick your brain a little bit. So having said that, before I close off today's video, be sure to join our new Discord and Twitch over at Radscene. And to everyone else, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. And as always, stay safe. Peace, guys.
I did 52 cities with Game in 09, free, 52 nights. Back to back, every night.
So were you just in
the RV?
I heard that.
And it was 18 of us. We had more people than we needed.
Right.
We had one bed in the back. I had a bed every night.
Right, I hear that.
The homies was figuring it out. And we was going through Minnesota and the heater broke and then they was sleeping on the floor. It was so cold, the windows was sweating. J-Rock and Kendrick was on the tour with us too.
Is there a part of you that's like, man, we hustling towards something,
fresh out of county jail, and I was happy to leave the hood.
I heard that
on positivity. Right. And we got $1,000 one night. They paid us $1,000 at Nokia.
Oh, really?
So I like, we made a rack. It was building fans though. Every night we get in front of 2,000-3,000 people and perform songs. And there was an artist like Game who was similar, come from the culture we come from, telling a story similar to the story we was telling. That was one of the best things we did. We didn't get paid for it. It took a lot of energy out of us, but it educated me and it also, like, you know, informed the fans that I was coming.
You gotta get out there and put the word out about yourself, right? Hey, shouts out to that regular, consistent schedule. Hey, putting the word
Hey everyone,
out
welcome into our
boy.
latest TDR Cannabis in 5. I am your host, Shad Dales, and today is one of those moments that people in this space will remember for a very long time. Here we go. President Donald Trump, he has officially announced the rescheduling of cannabis. Yes, think about that. So this is no longer just a rumor. It's no longer speculation. It's no longer happening quietly behind the scenes. This is now front page news, pulling attention far beyond the cannabis industry, now into places like healthcare, finance, and Washington itself. So a monumental moment, as this is without a doubt the biggest reform news this industry has experienced in over 50 years. Think about that. It's a new chapter. So here we go. Let's get into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. So first up, anyone new? What is rescheduling and what does it mean? Well, first up, it's not full legalization, but it changes the conversation in a very real way. And it signals that cannabis policy in the U.S. has officially entered into a new phase. So really, what actually changes from here moving forward? Well, for decades, as we look at the past, cannabis sat in the most restrictive category under federal law, officially labeled as having no accepted medical use. So that classification, it shaped everything: research access, tax policy, enforcement priorities, and really how lawmakers really talked about the industry. But with the announcement now, that framework, it's changed forever. Rescheduling is the federal government formally acknowledging that cannabis has recognized medical value and does not belong in the same category as substances that lack any accepted medical use. And finally, the voices of many Americans have been heard. So this alone is historic. This isn't about symbolism, it's about alignment between federal law, medical reality, and what tens of millions of Americans already know from experience. So the U.S. has just finally modernized cannabis. So from a healthcare standpoint, rescheduling opens doors that have been closed for decades. Yes, decades. It lowers barriers for researchers, universities, and medical institutions to study cannabis more freely and at scale. So what does that mean? Well, it means more data, better clinical understanding, and clearer guidance for doctors and patients. Think about this. For the last 50 years, cannabis has been scheduled as the same as heroin. Did not make sense. So finally, as I said before, the government has finally heard the voices of many Americans because they know the truth. So when we talk about Americans, this doesn't replace the medical programs. It strengthens the scientific foundation underneath them. So for patients, this is about legitimacy, moving cannabis further into evidence-based medicine and out of the shadows of outdated federal assumptions. Many lawmakers in the past have talked about their ideology pertaining to this, not actual evidence. And there's plenty of evidence to back this up, which is why they've indeed decided to reschedule cannabis, because the information is overwhelming. Now, before we go any further in today's podcast, now a quick word from our friends over at Morgan & Morgan. There's a reason smart investors celebrate when their portfolio jumps 40% in a year, just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Think about it. When you're investing, you want the right team in your corner. The same is true if you're injured in dealing with an insurance company, and that is where Morgan & Morgan comes into the equation. Why? Well, they've got more than 1,000 attorneys in over 100 offices nationwide, and they've been fighting for people for over 35 years, and their track record is hard to ignore. Case in point, in Florida, a client was offered $350,000, but walked away with $12 million. So in total, Morgan & Morgan, they've recovered more than $25 billion for over 500,000 clients. Because if you're injured due to someone else's negligence, you deserve to be paid. Not all law firms are created equal, but with Morgan & Morgan, their fee is free unless they win. You can start your claim right now by clicking the link in the description below or by scanning this QR code on your screen with your phone. At the end of the day, if you want what you deserve, make sure you go in with the right team by contacting Morgan & Morgan today. All right, let's get back to our story here and now look at the economic impact based off of this announcement. So from an economic standpoint, rescheduling immediately improves the operating environment for legal cannabis businesses. And here's why. Because most notably, it removes what's called the 280E tax penalty, which prevented companies from deducting normal business expenses. So that change, it'll improve cash flow, it'll strengthen balance sheets, and it allows companies to reinvest in growth instead of just surviving. So that matters for jobs, it matters for state tax revenue, compliance, and long-term stability. So this is about turning cannabis from a survival industry into a more durable one. And it's definitely welcoming news for many operators in this space. Now let's talk about the investment opportunity, and this is where the nuance matters. Rescheduling does not instantly open the floodgates to institutional capital. But what it does do is it changes how lawmakers and regulators view cannabis at the federal level. By acknowledging cannabis as a Schedule III substance with accepted medical use, Washington is now dealing with an industry that clearly has medical legitimacy, and that matters, especially when it comes to banking. And this is where safe banking comes back into focus. So for our new viewers, here is the quick version. The Safe Banking Act, what would it do? Well, it would allow banks and financial institutions to legally provide services like checking accounts, loans, payment processing, and credit, yes, credit, to state legal cannabis businesses without fear of federal penalties. So until now, many lawmakers, they were hesitant. Cannabis was still Schedule I and the optics were complicated. But with this announcement now, that all changes. With cannabis now recognized as having medical value at the federal level, bills like safe banking could become easier to justify politically and easier to move through Congress. So if banking reform indeed advances, that's when you start to hear things like broader institutional comfort, more normalized lending, potential senior exchange uplistings, and a capital markets environment that looks more like other regulated industries. So rescheduling doesn't finish the job, it now paves the road. So when you look at this announcement, it matters because it touches far more than just one industry as well. It impacts healthcare, it impacts tax policy, criminal justice, state-federal alignment, and financial markets. It signals a willingness to modernize policy based on evidence rather than inertia. And that's why you're seeing it covered everywhere right now in mainstream media. So here's the bottom line. How big is this announcement? Well, here it is. President Trump's announcement, it marks one of the most consequential federal cannabis policy shifts in U.S. history. Yes, U.S. history. Healthcare gains legitimacy, businesses gain breathing room, and lawmakers finally gain some clarity. And when you package that all together, the path towards proper banking and market normalization, it becomes much, much more realistic. So this doesn't end the conversation. It's just the beginning of what will be a transformational year for cannabis. So this is where the next chapter of U.S. cannabis policy actually begins. So for everyone that's been following this, just want to say this. Congratulations. This is something we'll be talking about for years. So on behalf of everyone here at TDR, we want to say thank you for logging on here every single day, giving you all the latest information with the best thought leaders in this space, and we're going to continue to do so. Why? Because, well, we're on to the next chapter, and it only goes up from here. This is a great day, everyone. So again, pat on the back, congratulations, thanks for sticking around, and as usual, make sure to stay connected. So make sure to like, subscribe, smash on that bell for all notifications, and what looks to appear to be a big year coming up for the cannabis industry in 2026. Leave some comments below, too. Love to get your feedback. What do you think of this announcement? What does it mean for you? Again, keep those comments going. We appreciate it here at TDR. That's it for now, everyone. Enjoy this moment, a big, big moment for the cannabis space. We'll see you in the next video. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and thanks again for watching our latest TDR Cannabis in 5.
Shad, stay working, boy. I appreciate that. Make sure I got plenty of things to talk about in my video.
Mr. Nice Guy was blowing up, man. We got customers from all over New York. No, not that. We even stole a few from Samson.
Oh, what's up, nigga? Come on in, man. Come on, wait, man.
Hey, that's the only thing that we care about. Go ahead, let motherfuckers grow that shit at home. And then you can buy anything else anywhere else and they can get their taxes off for that shit. You don't get to none of y'all. The growing equipment itself, so that's already a given, right?
Told me to bring a lot of weed, man.
Yeah, especially if we get some of these homemade brands.
Pound of my sweet is cheaper. You know better than that.
Can't order those out of country LEDs though, right?
$600, bro.
See what I got here. Come on, man, hang out for a minute, smoke with me. I got weed, got my bong out. Come on, son.
For you, man, I'll stay for a minute, but then I gotta be going. Man, Smoke a Lot opened up to me like I was Barbara Walters. It was ridiculous. He told me about his lawyer.
He had sex with my mama. Why?
Spirituality.
God, if you listen, hell,
his bad back.
Doctor said I need a backiotomy.
His love life.
I'm in for it, man. Get away from me, bitch.
I mean, talk about a guy with problems. Tough break.
I can't take it too far.
No wonder he smoked a pound a week. Somebody won. So now we had a famous clientele, and
Green Eyes gonna miss you.
And guess what else? Call me next week. About weed.
I kind of wanted to like just start from the beginning because overwatering can kind of come from like a bunch of different. I can't a bunch of different ways. No, it comes from adding too much water. But if it happens to you when you're like early on, it can be far more detrimental to your plant than if it happens to you in veg or if it happens to you in flower. I know that there's a misconception out there that too much water when you're germinating is bad, but you can't drown a seed. A lot of people put their seeds in shot glasses of water, for example, and they let them sit there until they sink or something, or until they float. Usually, until they float.
Well, they float to begin,
and then they sink. Yeah,
they usually sink.
And then so some people, nothing wrong with that. You take that out, you put that into another moist piece of paper towel. Wait till the taproot comes out. Then that's when watering and or overwatering becomes a thing. That's where I feel like new growers, I was going to say noobs. That's where I feel like new growers have that struggle, is because I think we mentioned this not long ago, where it's like adding water is something that a new grower feels that's their impact on the plant. That's a tool that they can add to their collection.
Now, what he's meaning to say, it's not every new grower, but it's every new grow. You see what I'm saying? Because every time you start a grow, how are you starting that grow? Is it a new way? Are you trying some shit? Are you popcorn? Hell, I done tried every way of germination. Put them in the motherfucking pot. I'm good at starting them in a DWC pot. I got a class on it too. If you ain't seen the video, then we can refer you to the class, right? Yeah.
And that has an impact. So when they see a problem, they're like, "Oh, water! I can water this; it'll be just fine." But adding too much water after the taproot can be quite detrimental.
Oh yeah, dude! I've seen them fall off. I've seen the top of your plant just like drop off. Like, what the hell? And you look in, and it's because the root just got drowned, suffocated. There's nothing there. It can happen with clones even too, but especially that taproot. So sensitive when it's just alive. It's like a baby. It is a baby. You're bringing it to life. You have to nurture it, and that's where getting your watering technique should be dialed in immediately. As soon as you have any life to your plant, it's not something you want to figure out in bed. You need to have this dialed in, because at that point, if you started out, even with weak roots that are waterlogged, it's not going to grow good. It's going to stunt your growth, and it may kill the plant in general. So it's finding that happy medium, which is where you'll see a lot of people using the little root riots or the organic plugs, things like that, because they can kind of squeeze out the moisture versus putting it right into soil. It's what it is. If you waterlog it, waterlog.
A lot of new growers make the mistake of putting seedling into it. I'm not saying that this is a major mistake if you're experienced, but starting in a large container, right? If there's a seedling in there, if you're adding water into there, well, the medium is going to take a very long time to dry out. Depending on what medium you're in, it could be a lack of oxygen in the root zone. That's how you stunt seedlings. It's a very common mistake. So, starting in a smaller container, solo cups. A lot of people start in that 16-ounce cups or even smaller. I like 1 gallon.
I like the little seedling cups.
Yeah, those seedling cups. Yeah. Those are like 4 ounce or something like that. I do like 1 gal. I just like starting in 1 gal over because in solo cups, I feel like it could dry out quicker. Like if you leave it in there for too long, it could dry out, and then you're adding water in there, and then it's too wet. Like it becomes too wet, too dry, too quickly. So I like to just start in the 1 gal. I just have better luck. Plus, I can keep it in that 1 gallon container until like day 20, 21. Then I'm transplanting out of it. Versus a solo cup, I'm looking to transplant out by around day 14, roughly, is usually when I'm transplanting out of that. So kind of get more time in the same container. A little less labor there. So,
well, dude, Pigeons and I both popped our the fire shit and frost lemonade at the same time. I put mine in solo cups. He put his in the 1 gallons. Same exact age. The size difference was fucking night and day, and it really changed my whole approach. The reason I didn't do 1 gallon pots before is because I was an idiot and had 1 gallon fabric pots. Worst investment a person could ever make.
That's what I used. Yeah.
My God, dude, transplanting those,
it's pain. It could be a pain in the butt. There's
plastic ones are just.
Yeah. It's way more difficult to transplant from a fabric pot.
See, that's why I like pigeons, because he's like, nah, that shit is a pain, but I do it that way. But yeah, it is a headache because, hell, they're 1 gallon fucking cloth containers, fabric, as he said.
And just to transplant from plastic.
My final pot is the fabric. But that starting point, but dude, the size difference, literally, like, we're showing them off on stream, and I'm like, holy shit, like, what? You must have just better seeds, so I don't know. But it's that I did the same thing my next run, and it looked like I had clones instead of seedlings. They just blew up, and a lot of it is, again, I think that amount of time that we're sitting in the water and the soil, the waterlogged soil, there's no oxygen going there, or it's drying out too fast because there's the solo cup. So having that happy medium, no pun intended, in between, I think the 1 gallons do the best for establishing your roots and having the fine line between overwatering and underwatering. It's easier to maintain the perfect amount because it's such a small pocket of where your roots are, but a decent amount where the water could move around the media. You know?
Yeah, I usually start at 1 gallon and transfer up.
Buckets. You dig? We bucket heads over here. You dig? We got these 2 gallon buckets these days because they squares. So, hell. People like square buckets, move around, circle somewhere, but you know how we do. Team DWC. Hell, you can be team indoor, team outdoor. You could be team soil, or you could be team water. Hell, you could either be team aeroponic if you want out here in these streets these days. He said, I know how to grow some shit in many ways. Hell, you know what I mean? We gonna grow it all and grow it tall. Hell. Overly big. What happened? I guess my shit's just big, man. It's big. Texas is big. Just like Texas, you ever been to Texas? Nah, but
5 gallon or 7 gallon or 10 gallon is usually what I'm transferring up into. And I really prefer starting in that size container over it. Now, as far as fabric versus plastic, this is something that's really going to help. Big difference when it comes to watering, right? When you're watering a plastic pot versus a fabric pot, because a fabric pot could dry out from all the different sides.
Yeah.
Right. So, and when you're actually pouring the water in there, I mean, how many times have you guys watered a fabric pot? Then the water just pours through the fabric and then down the outside of the pot, right? So you got to kind of go in it a little bit slower pace.
What up, Phil? Good to see you. How you doing? Happy New Year's to you and yours too, bro. Hopefully 2026 does something good for you for a change. But then you know how we are about changes. We make them if necessary.
It pours out the sides, so you just kind of let go. Yeah.
That's where it makes it a little bit easier with the plastic pot. What I call flood the medium. It's probably not the best way because I make it take it differently, but I just pour it on top till it kind of pools up above and then slowly kind of works its way down. And I don't have that spillage through the fabric pots. So something to kind of keep in mind if I know there's some people that are kind of torn between fabric or plastic. I go back and forth because, summertime, it's great to have fabric pots in there to expel that heat because I live in a very hot environment. Wintertime, it's better for me to kind of use plastic pots because it helps kind of with that warmth. It gets really cold in the wintertime. So that's one thing that I kind of look at as well.
Never thought of that. That's a great idea. I literally did it at one point to retain more moisture, more water.
Yeah, that's
because I was going to be gone. I'm traveling. Yeah. And I'm like, shit, dude. I'm going to have to water all the time with these fabric pots. I've had people say that you can't overwater with fabric pots because they dry out so quick.
Oh, you can't.
Anytime people say you can't do things with growing, I'm like, dude, hold my beer, brother.
No, it's just like the guy who said you can't get pests in cocoa. It's like, what?
What? Yeah. It's a thing where they maybe haven't gotten them.
Yeah, in their first grow, and their only grow.
their first time touching a plant. But, it happens. And I think that when you're dealing with the fabric pot, you have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to overwatering, though, just because the fact that you can go grab a fan and blow it literally directly on your media and dry it out so much quicker than you can a plastic pot. Unless there's a lot of holes already in it. I remember buying the thicker plastic pots from the grocery store and drilling holes.
Shout out to Rumble for letting me be on both.
And it's just ridiculous to even have to do that. You purchase this thing and it doesn't work.
You can post to YouTube
as it is. You have to modify it. The bags are nice. For the main reason, in my opinion, for the air pruning, my roots always seem crazy healthy afterwards. The outside of it, I'm like, damn, it's not really all that much
trying to get cut.
But it's like the air pruning. I open it up and they're just thick, dude. Looking like clean ramen noodles.
Just plain catch you.
So I feel now that I'm thinking about the temperature thing, I'm probably going to go between both more often because, the root zone temperature is insane, especially you water your plants at a temperature that's not, maybe like 68 or under, depending. For me, I'll get, water that I fill up the day before for 24 hours and I let it sit out. I used the RO for the longest time, but I've noticed my plants are a little happier not using RO. I don't know, the natural minerals that I'm getting in the water, even though it's Michigan water, seemingly the plants like more, but it's pretty cold by the next day. It's like 55 degrees, sometimes cooler. And in the winter, it's going to be even chillier. So I'm watering in cold water, fabric pot that's exposed heavily to the ground even elevated a little bit, it's going to get cold and it's going to shock the plant. So to be able to switch up between the pots per season, I think is a great hack for your roots. This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.
So in other words, if y'all didn't hear what Rob tried to slide in there, because I noticed he was slick with the delivery, appreciate the big homie. He said, I like to start in plastic. That way, whenever I do got them in flour, and I done flip to that big ass 10-gallon fabric pot, that actually helps with what I was trying to do anyways. You see what I'm saying? What are you trying to do? You trying to, hey, these things are starting to finish, so now I'm going to introduce them to a little bit of stress, which would be what? That colder water temps in the fabric pot. See? That goes back to last week's video, how to get dense buds and terpy tasty buds also. So go hit that video back up, hit the playlist. Shouts out to the new playlist, but that might be in the old playlist. Either way, we got a playlist. Check them both out, because you got time. Just New Year's, hell, you ain't got to get up and go to work in the morning. Run the playlist and keep it popping. Especially the new one. It's 12 videos or something like that. Maybe 50. Compared to the other one, you'll be like, I see why you made to start with a little one.
We have, before we talk about our strain of the day real quick, is Target. You shop at Target? You do?
Yeah, it's the best. You always need something from Target.
Well, a new poll says that many cannabis consumers are more likely to shop at Target after the retailer began selling hemp-derived THC beverages in select stores. So look how quickly we forgot about the rainbow fucking shit in the front of Target. We forgot about the rainbow shit. We forgot about the rainbow shit, but now we're making sure that we go to Target because they sell hemp-derived THC beverages.
I'm a little blazed before I go there.
So Target's begun sell a pilot program selling THC-infused hemp-derived beverages in select stores starting in Minnesota.
But they're allowed. Okay, Minnesota doesn't have anything about that.
Why Minnesota? I don't know. I do not know.
And this is why it's confusing.
This
that looks great. I want to try it.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah, it looks like tea cooler, right?
Yeah, kind of.
It says magic, so I'm in.
Yeah, and there's 4 cans in a pack. So yeah, magic, half and half, tea, lemonade.
Now, with all that other shit they talking about at Target, though, right? The only reason why I used to go to Target was because they had a better Lego selection than Walmart's. Like, they'll have the extended Lego selection list at Target versus Walmart. That's why I would go to Target. But, it is what it is.
What's your barber name? What's your barber name? What's your barber name?
Damn. He took that a little personal.
Oh, shit. What's poppin'? This is your boy Matt back at it with an absolute banger. Today, we're going to be talking about what happened to WeTube. I want to go down the entire history of WeTubing as somebody who's been a fan of it since I was in high school, to being part of the community. It just seen the different effects and changes of rules and policies and how that's basically affected the content creation space within this niche. So thinking back to when I was in high school, there was some OGs in the game, bro. And I remember the first time I was in class and I watched the video and I thought to myself, there's no way people are able to make money on YouTube getting faded. Like, at this point, I'm like really into getting faded. I'm hanging out with all the homies. That's all we're doing. Everybody's getting faded. So to me, watching somebody do it online was like crazy. It was eye-opening. And it was also one of those moments where I realized, like, dude, when I'm by myself getting faded, I can watch this guy's video, and it's like I'm cheating with this person, you know? Starting up with the first channel I really got hooked on, it was called Strain Central, which is one of the better educational channels out in the space at that time. I remember learning a lot from him and just like really being a student. I was definitely like a fan of him at that time, and I thought it was cool that he just had his own apartment and he was just making videos, doing what he loved every single day. And then another person that really hit the space without knowing it, a lot of people don't categorize him as being part of the WeTube community, but he's the real OG and founder of this, was Wiz. Wiz doing the day-to-days, even though he was coming up as a rapper, was really setting the wave for what like stoner vlogs were looking like. And he was one of the first people I ever saw just blatantly putting the flower on a YouTube video and putting it out there and watching him create an entire career out of it. So that was pretty sick. People just categorize him strictly as a rapper, but little do people know he's actually a really dope vlogger too. And moving on to the next guy, we got Custom Grow 420. This dude legit blew my mind the first time I watched his videos. I thought I was tripping, bro. I had my headphones on, and I pressed play on his video. He's like, "What's poppin' YouTube?" He was one of those crazy intros, bro. And I was like trying to process what was going on. It almost kind of reminded me of Fulcrum, man, like that crazy personality of just them being themselves, you know. And that was a cool era. He was definitely one of the first creators to really push out like the entire challenges, the concept of like, I'm gonna try to do a 1 gram dab, or I'm gonna do 10 gram dab, whatever it may be. He was one of the first people that I was watching at least do these crazy, insane challenges and shape the entire community of challenges. Because from there, a lot of the dabbing culture started coming out onto YouTube and showing how they were doing their dabs and so forth. So I thought that was really cool. I'll be honest, bro. The intro drove me a little nuts.
I can understand doing one to say, yeah, I'll do
all of his video, but I would like skip through his video and just kind of skip over it. And I'd be like, yo, this guy's freaking crazy, bro. Like, I just remember thinking he was insane, bro. I could never do something like that. I would try to go rip a regular bong, choke out. I'm like, all right, yeah, dude, this guy,
what
he's a trained
happened? I got nominated
for taking these crazy rips. Funny story too, when I met him in person, I'm sure he probably didn't know who the hell I was. But I just assumed, and I was like, bro, we should do a collab. He was like, well, why would we collab for? I was like, I think at that time, all I'm just thinking is he's like super cool from his videos. But you know what? It's whatever. There's ways of I could have said things and explained myself better. Be like, yo, this is my channel. It'd be sick if we collab. Well, you know, that's what it is. But shout out Custom Grow 420. The last time I checked on his channel, it seems like he isn't posting any consumption videos anymore.
That'd be what happens to them.
That was an era of creators I just mentioned.
They'll come through for a minute, and they'll be gone.
Where creators came into the space,
still run back the videos,
I'm talking
right?
about channels that grew hundreds of thousands of followers and just got completely
like
wiped
the old
out.
shit?
That started happening
Rock the old shit.
multiple times. There'd be creators that would grow their page and then just come get attacked by YouTube. So I think when some of the older creators started getting like their first strikes, because we were the ones essentially figuring out the whole strike system, you know, that started to scare people a lot. And when they started losing their monetization, because eventually these creators stopped getting paid for their views, that was probably a big shift for a lot of the creators too, to be like, well, I can't really make this a living anymore, or like I need to go focus on doing something else because I need to make money because the platform isn't paying me any money anymore. So I did see the era of creators kind of like come and go. I saw what it was like when people would blow up really fast. And when I jumped into the space, age restrictions still weren't a thing. So I would post like smoking purple weed, you know, and that would do like 250,000 views in 24 hours. Like things that today you couldn't really post without getting messed with by the platform. You were really just able to blatantly do it back in the day, which was insane. And that brings us to our next era. The creators that I worked alongside with, that we were all uploading around the same time. And a lot of the ones I'm going to mention now stepped away from uploading content, doing what they were doing at some point. You know what I'm saying? Getting faded on camera and shit. And
he says.
We'll start with the first one. He's a homie. Faded Marky. Faded Marky, I remember for a while, he would be telling me, like, bro, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, I feel like it's not, like, in me, in my soul, to want to record myself doing these things anymore. The interesting thing about Faded Marky is that when we became friends, he was helping me every single day, film videos, everything. Like, we had this dream, and we're going to accomplish it, and we were just grinding it out. Eventually, I helped him start his channel, and his channel just naturally did really well, bro. Bro just picked it up and went running with the ball, blew up the channel. And I think at that point he started to feel some sort of like guilt of, I don't know if I want to basically promote people doing this. I feel like he was like, maybe this isn't the best version of myself, so I don't want to put that out to other people for them to go follow, whatever it may be. I just remember talking to him and him getting to basically tell me, bro, I'm growing up and like this just doesn't interest me anymore. And I was like, all right, bro. At first I thought it was crazy, but he stepped away just for personal reasons, and I was like, all right, I respect it. Then we got another creator I've collabed with in the past, Sebi G. Shout out Sebi G. I recently went on his page and I saw that he's making shorts now, like with food content, which is pretty cool. So he's definitely taking like a complete 180 approach, I feel, from the content he was making before. And one thing about Sebi and myself is like we got kids. So I think once you have kids, your whole like mindset starts to shift. You start to question like, do I want to put myself out there like this? Is this how I want people to view me?
Try to put you on your ass.
So I couldn't tell you exactly what it was.
That's why I'm still fucking with this Day of the Dead.
I'd assume that parents, he seems like a very present parent. That probably is a big shift to be like, you know what? I want to like reorganize or reshape the image I'm creating of myself.
I gotta change that on my buy me a coffee.
So yeah, so you know, follow me on Instagram, Sebi, you're still a homie. But I get it, bro. We're trying to shift away from all this. I understand like unfollowing and trying to just move your mindset to another direction. So best of luck to you. Then we got Pizza Brian. Pizza Brian actually stopped for health reasons. Right? He stopped doing it because he felt like he got some lung issue from doing all these blinkers and basically like trying all these different black market carts. That's what I believe we last spoke about when I talked to him. So he did it for like health purposes to just stay away from it. And that's something we're talking about in the video. People don't realize that when you do something every single day in excess, it's going to eventually catch up to you. It's inevitable. If you eat fast food, all the time, every day in excess, you're going to get fat. If you don't eat for every day, for multiple days, you're going to lose weight because you're doing extremes. And that's what I think is wrong with like what we've done so far as creators, was like putting out content, trying to basically get you to be like, here's like me trying 1,000 milligrams. And maybe it's cool if people want to sit back and watch their favorite creator do it. But even to the creator, there's a certain point where like you start burning yourself out. And some creators don't. Some creators love it. That's just the life they love to live, and they want to do that every single day. But I have noticed that as you get older in this space and you've been around longer, how you felt at 21 about making content and how you feel at 30 making content. I'm not at 30 quite yet, but I'm almost there. It changes drastically. So I think people should consider their health a lot more when it comes down to the way they use the plant. There's definitely healthier relationships you can have with the plant. Another thing I noticed is people will be like, oh, Mr. THC, I used to watch you all the time, but I quit smoking.
I didn't even know
like, that's good, bro. And they'll be like,
good to see you, Izzy.
yeah, I just felt like I was
hopefully you having a great evening.
I felt like I was.
Hopefully you have a nice 2026. If not, get a consultation with your boys. You could always book me for a week for about $500 to $1,000. You know, whatever your budget can afford. We'll make it work.
My focus is just doing that every single day. I do lose balance on some other things in life, but it's like
here
working all day. It's the same thing. If you work all day,
it's
gonna be harder to get to the gym. It's gonna be harder to do certain things. My point being is you need to find a healthy balance with that, because ever since I've done that, and I'm not getting high every single day. I'm not smoking every single day. I have a schedule almost.
I've been trying to tell you.
I have things I need to get done before I'm gonna go get faded. Unless
the money's
I'm
right
filming for that day and I'm able to start getting faded for the beginning of the day.
We don't have to worry when taxes come back around. It'll be just a tax break.
Every single day, from the morning time to the time
I always get you in the ownership box.
I can see the flaw to it. I definitely lost my discipline, and I'm not blaming the plant. I lost it. Not the, it wasn't the plant's fault. The plant didn't come and was like, hey, you better not work out today. That was me making the choice to not work out, to not do this, not do whatever. And I feel like that happens a lot to people, but they blame the plant. My biggest piece of advice is go cold turkey for a while so you figure out, what you need to work on. Once you get your balance together, just dabble in it, bro. You don't need to do it every day, all day, smoke an entire joint, nothing. You could dabble in it enough to find what works for you. What's a healthy balance for you type shit. Next on the list, we got Blazing Asian. Blazing Asian, I only know as much as probably everybody else knows because of everything that's already been put out to the internet. But it sounds like he stopped for mental health reasons. and he basically, from the videos I've seen, said that like his consumption of cannabis led to, you know, like these episodes he was having basically. What I will say is this: I was always concerned seeing the thousands of milligrams that he would consume. I would be like, yeah, bro, that's pretty crazy. 5,000, 10,000, dude. I've done like a cap full of some of those drinks he was taking, and the cap full would send me. So like I could never comprehend like how he must feel, you know, because the thing about edibles specifically, when they.
But then there goes back to like he's saying, he knew he was taking high doses. And then he's like, man, that shit fucked me up. Well, duh, motherfucker. It's the reason why they call it a high dose. Hell, by the time you that far and strung out, you supposed to be dying. This shit might help slow it down a little bit so you feel a little bit better about it, but you still gonna be going to a while. That's what they supposed to give you at the hospice. The hospice usually supposed to have that good smokes, and that shit that if you got level 4 cancer, it'll make you feel like you're normal. You won't even notice the shit. What? Yeah, we got weed that does that. It'll bring you all the way back to normal. That's how high you'll be. What? I can feel normal, but yeah, in a couple of days you ain't gonna be here. Just remember that part of the game. Good hospice weed. They be getting consultations too. See, we be talking about that shit. That's why I talk to people like that. They like, shit, well, hell, I run a hospice. We can recommend any type of medicine. We gotta keep the good shit on deck. We want people comfortable. They know they on their way out. Hell, we'll keep them rolling.
They hit hard, and they kind of send you to like almost not like a different dimension, but definitely a different state of mind where it's almost scary, bro. You almost start like you're just tripping, you know? It's like legit, you're tripping, though you don't really have sense of what's going on because you're just way too faded off the edible. Like it almost turns like feels like a psychedelic, you know? It's like similar to that type of effect if the edible is strong enough. So I think taking thousands of milligrams of syrup or any edible, it's like you're gonna go down a bad rabbit hole that you should stay away from. And that goes back to the same thing, like consumption amount. The plant could be used so different if people understood the consumption amount. Then we got the homie Edwin Sparks from Third High Productions. He was one of the first people I collabed with, so shout out to Edwin. Real one from day one, you know what I'm saying? But he just kind of completely took a shift away from it. He also was hit hard with the age restrictions. Like I said, when that hit the channels, you definitely saw a change in the way either people had to do content or the views, everything. Like there was a shift, you know, that happened in the algorithm when those age restrictions came into play. That was a big hit. But honestly, I understand. As somebody who has kids, like I get it, bro. You know, I'm not even upset about it anymore. I just think now it's like different approaches, I guess, to the content than the traditional route. Or you can try the traditional route, but if you don't already have a channel with followers, it's really hard to go to the traditional route because the age restrictions at that point aren't going to let you grow past like 50 views, you know, which is hard. You got to find a different method where you could maybe still cover the space and not be messed with so hard. I don't know, you know. So that's been the errors I've seen, the problems I've seen in the space. And all I can say we should take away from this video is learn from.
Nah, see, the problem is most YouTube creators these days are new, so they just gonna be posting sporadically versus consistently. You build up a consistent post schedule, then people know when to come looking for you. It's that easy, because they're gonna be like, well, if you only post every once in a while, it's gonna be hard for people to like you in it on their personal algorithm, because that's how YouTube is. It recommends them videos that they like to watch. Therefore, if you watch this video, boom, cool. You like the video, maybe you watch more than 2 minutes of it, then they assume you like the video, even if you hit the button, because you gave it time and attention. Did he switch off the video? Nah, he let it run till the ad ran. Okay, well, that's good for us. And then after the first ad, then he jumped off at like 10 minutes out of a 12 to 15 minute video. Depends on how short or long your videos are, because that's how YouTube go. They'll try to get you. But hell, they want you to do anything over 5 to 8 minutes. You see what I'm saying? Anything over 5 to 8 minutes wasn't preferred at first, because hell, then you just running up their storage. But now they got unlimited storage. How did that happen? Because they realized, well, now you get some people that go with longer videos. Because guess what? This is why YouTube is what platform it is. It's actually a long form content platform. You see what I'm saying? So if you got something you want to get on here and just go for hours about, it actually is what it's designed for. And then you have an expert got off work. Hell, he wanted to talk. He got a couple people in the chat, right? Somebody listening, they know he's a professional because hell, he still got on his work clothes. Coming there with the tie a little loose, 2 or 3 buttons down, suit still on. He'll take the jacket off midway through the stream just to make it seem like he's stepping it up a notch. Yeah, that's the good thing about being a content creator, though. But everything you do is supposed to be content because somebody out there will relate to it, whether you knew it or not. Oh yeah, plenty of people do that shit. Yeah, and it'll be plenty of people that's bored, and hell, the things that normally come up in their content is in your content. So shit. Hell, why do people watch me? Because I'm doing shit people will watch. Shouts out to being naturally entertaining. Hell, I'm not sitting here dancing. I'm just doing what I would do normally. It's like chilling with your homie. Hell, you like shit. Let me smoke with Fred again. Pull up some videos because it's just like he having them right here for this sesh. You know what he gonna be talking about because that's why you watching the video. I'm just gonna roll up and do my THIN to the G in real life though. Hell, you know how we are. Anyways, we gonna get up out of here because that's not where we gonna stay for the day. Yeah, not where we gonna stay for the day.
Hey everyone, welcome into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. Hope everybody had a great week. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and I'm going to look at a story that was first reported by Marijuana Moment earlier this week, and it could end up affecting nearly every corner of the hemp and cannabis space. So what am I talking about? Well, Congress, they passed a new federal hemp ban, changing the legal definition of hemp, and a brand new Congressional Research Service report says federal agencies may not be able to enforce it effectively. So it looks like this topic is definitely heating up, because let's face it, it's a complicated moment. So let's break down what's changing, how states may respond, and what this could mean over the next 12 months for the hemp industry in our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. So let's get into it. So since 2018, hemp has been federally legal as long as it stayed under the 0.3% Delta 9 THC threshold. So that's what's allowed CBD oils, gummies, topicals, hemp flower, Delta 8 products, all of it to hit the market. We know this. And with that, it created an industry almost overnight. But under a new federal spending bill passed last year, Congress has now completely rewritten the definition of hemp, which again, many people already know. So for our new viewers, the updated language, most intoxicating hemp-derived cannabinoids, things like Delta 8, THC, THC flower, and many infused hemp edibles will be considered illegal once the law fully kicks in about a year from now. So products that were legal for years and these were questionable products may suddenly be treated as a controlled substances, but they should be. So this is one of the most sweeping changes to federal hemp policy since legalization, but it had to happen. Why? Because it wasn't tested or labeled and it was crossing state lines. So now here is where the story gets really interesting here. The Congressional Research Service, which advises lawmakers, they released an analysis saying the federal government right now may not be able to enforce this new ban in any consistent or meaningful way. Sounds like the hemp industry is getting desperate. So according to this new report, the DOJ, DEA, and FDA, they lack the personnel and resources to police the entire hemp marketplace. Historically, federal agencies have not focused on low-level cannabis enforcement unless it involves interstate trafficking or public health risks. Also, the hemp market now spans thousands of manufacturers and retailers across dozens of states, and there's no clear federal strategy for rolling out enforcement. So in short, Congress passed a major ban, but the CRS is warning that enforcement could look scattered, slow, or selective in some cases. laws. And that means the real world impact may vary dramatically from state to state. And that's what's grabbing a lot of people's attention on the state level, because every state has their own rules and their own laws. So we'll explain more into detail what some of this information is, but first a quick word from Morgan & Morgan. There's a reason smart investors celebrate when their portfolio jumps 40% in a year, just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Think about it. When you're investing, you want the right team in your corner. The same is true if you're injured in dealing with an insurance company. And that is where Morgan & Morgan comes into the equation. Why? Well, they've got more than 1,000 attorneys and over 100 offices nationwide, and they've been fighting for people for over 35 years. And their track record is hard to ignore. Case in point, in Florida, a client was offered $350,000, but walked away with $12 million. So in total, Morgan & Morgan, they've recovered more than $25 billion for over 500,000 clients. Because if you're injured due to someone else's negligence, you deserve to be paid. Not all law firms are created equal, but with Morgan & Morgan, their fee is free unless they win. You can start your claim right now by clicking the link in the description below or by scanning this QR code on your screen with your phone. At the end of the day, if you want what you deserve, make sure you go in with the right team by contacting Morgan & Morgan today. All right, let's get back to it and keep going here. So here's why this story matters, especially to operators and regulators across the country. States have spent years building their own hemp rules because the 2018 Farm Bill, it left a lot of flexibility. Some states strictly regulated intoxicating hemp products, while others barely regulate them at all, and some have full licensing systems for CBD and cannabinoid manufacturing. So again, here's the state's framework: 50 different states operating like 50 different countries. But the big man has spoken, and that's the federal government, because with the federal definition changing, state programs suddenly may face a major conflict. 1, do states enforce the new federal ban? 2, do they ignore it and keep their hemp industries open? 3, what happens to existing inventory? And 4, what happens to interstate shipping? Come on, man. What do you think the cannabis industry has been facing for the past, 10 years or so, if not longer? In some cases, I understand where the hemp industry is coming from, but man, there needs to be some accountability. Get rid of the bad actors and have one consistent message. Because let's face it, you can't suck and blow at the same time. And then looking further into this, some lawmakers, including Senator Rand Paul, even tried removing the ban from the federal bill, arguing it would destroy hemp businesses and cause legal chaos. But that amendment, as we know, did not pass. So right now, legal analysts are warning that the new ban could indeed shut down hemp processors and retailers. It would eliminate jobs in farming, extraction, and distribution. It would also push some consumers towards unregulated markets, and it would create massive compliance confusion. Not sure if I agree with that totally. And because the CRS report suggests enforcement will be inconsistent, businesses now face an unclear roadmap for next year. Well, I can say one thing that's clear: the hemp industry as we know it, and the way it's been operating over the past 5 years, is done. So really, what does this all mean on the ground right now? Well, if enforcement is light, which the CRS suggests is possible, we could see some patchwork here. Some states could keep selling intoxicating hemp products. We don't want that. Others would fully ban them. We do want that. And federal action shows up only in big trafficking cases or high-risk situations. So there is some points there, and that kind of uncertainty, it can squeeze small businesses that rely on stable regulations, the small businesses doing things right. So many may pivot to non-intoxicating cannabinoids, while others might shut down or move into great market channels, which you don't want. So for consumers, this could mean losing access to products they've relied on for sleep, anxiety, or pain, unless their state chooses to regulate rather than prohibit. And for the broader cannabis sector, this moment definitely highlights a standing pattern. Whenever federal law clashes with state-level legalization, the markets get chaotic until enforcement, or a lack of enforcement, settles into a predictable rhythm. Again, some fair points there. But I think as far as messaging for the federal government, I think this is far from over, and there's going to be more dialogue down the road. So with that, let's look at the big picture here. This hemp ban, it fits into a much bigger theme. Federal marijuana prohibition still creates massive tension with state laws, because for years, hemp operated as a loophole industry, legal federally, but often overlapping with cannabis markets. So now the federal government has stepped in and it's closing that loophole, but also without the regulatory infrastructure to replace it. So the CRS report basically says, expect uncertainty, expect uneven enforcement, enforcement and expect states to take the lead, whether federal agencies really like it or not. Okay, so that's fair. So what should we watch for next? What are the key things to pay attention to over the next year? One is whether the DOJ or the FDA releases formal guidance about enforcement. Two, how states respond with their own rules or protections. Three, whether lawsuits emerge challenging the ban. Four is how businesses shift their product lines heading into 2026, and there will be a lot of shifting involved in that. So really the story is only the beginning, and it could have a lot of conversation to happen over these next 10 months. You can bet on that one. Whether change happens or not for the hemp industry and whether they want this ban lifted, don't see that happening. But we got to make sure the crackdown on the state level of intoxicating products remains in place moving forward now that this ban has passed. So again, it's a controversial topic. The hemp industry isn't going down without a fight, and this conversation is only going to get louder over the next 10 to 11 months. So that's it for our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. Let us know in your comments below what you think of this breakdown of this video. We'd love to keep this conversation going. As usual, make sure to like, subscribe, and smash on that bell for all notifications, and stay connected with us here at TDR. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next video. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Thanks again for watching. Take care, everyone.
Oh, my boy. What's going on, gang?
I ain't gonna lie, I ain't got the cheese. I'm about to sell them shits to him real quick.
Bro, what you mean, bro? You ain't got the cheese.
I'll sell it to him and I'm gonna give you that cheese like to pay you.
Get that buy from me, bro.
Nah, like, I'd rather, make profit.
Bro, go ahead, bro. Hurry up, bro.
Yo, twin. Pull up real quick.
Oh, man, selling my shit, bro. Bro, what the fuck, bro?
I got you, man.
It's gonna be 100, bro.
100?
So how much money you just made off my shit?
120.
Bro, what the fuck? Crazy, bro. Be safe, bro.
He said, "Hey, you
Everybody in New York was calling to get down with Mr. Nice Guy. We met all kinds of customers, like this guy here. He's what we call an enhancement smoker, because he thinks that marijuana makes every activity that much better.
Casa su casa.
Observe.
You're Scarface, right?
Yeah.
I love Al Pacino, man. Did you ever see Son of a Woman?
Yup.
You ever seen Son of a Woman on weed? That's the way to see it, man. It's just whack.
$60, yo.
What up to that big homie? Appreciate you stopping by, saying hi. Good to see you. Hopefully you're having a good intro to 2026.
Bill, man.
No, I don't know, yo.
Did you ever see back a $20 bill on weed? Oh, there's some weird shit in there, man. There's a dude sitting in the bushes, man. Does he have a gun? I don't know, man. I don't know. What? Red team go. Red team go. It's just some weird shit, man.
Man, you fucking crazy, yo.
No, it's cool. Thanks, man. Hey, yo, wait. Dude, I'm gonna check out the stars later. It's really trippy. Especially on weed, man.
Gotta love that fucking part of that movie. Yeah, hopefully y'all still like it, right?
So basically, heating up across the country when it comes to the good herb, especially since President Trump signed that executive order to reclassify the good herb to Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Legal states like Maine and Mass are taking steps to roll back legalization. They want to make weed illegal again. And now Arizona is joining the mix. Plus, over in Michigan, things are looking just as bleak. And changes over there could have a big impact on Ohio, since Governor DeWine signed a bill to ban tons of THC products. And now, the unlikely hero to save the hemp industry just might be President Trump.
Big changes are coming for the hemp and THC industry.
As part of the congressional funding bill passed to reopen the federal government, a provision will ban nearly all hemp-derived consumer products, making items that have been legal under the 2018 Farm Bill illegal.
WMTV's Ashley Wheel met with local hemp shops who have major concerns about this change.
That's right. Thousands of businesses opened selling THC products, including gummies, drinks, and vapes, after a 2018 bill created a loophole because of a broad definition. It changed the rules for the sale of certain THC products. The new ban will take effect next November and will make any products containing more than 0.3% THC illegal.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
This small Madison shop opened just 8 months ago. But if nothing changes, it'll be forced to close forever.
We've both left full-time jobs in other industries, working for other businesses, and now have provided ourselves full-time incomes as well as 5 others.
Owner of Leaf Life, Raina Corden, is navigating being a small business owner. She says she was heartbroken to hear about the new bill set to ban most of the products they sell, affecting their customers and thousands of jobs nationwide.
It was definitely shocking and devastating, both for us and our own lives, and also the overall industry as a whole.
This federal bill stands to wipe out 97% of the industry nationwide, which is over 300,000 jobs.
Brooke Bartels with Madison Extracts has seen the demand grow for hemp products. He says the industry isn't ready to go down without a fight.
We look forward to working with the city, with the county, and the state to put forth fair regulations and moving this forward in a way that works with everybody in a bipartisan manner.
We definitely intend to band together with other local shops and organizations, both locally and nationally.
Hoping to protect local jobs,
we will be forced to shut down. And that means that we no longer have income. We no longer are able to provide for our employees. They are no longer able to provide for their families. And that all breaks my heart.
Safe access to cannabis.
We pride ourselves on being very upfront and an open book.
In an industry that's bloomed local economies.
There's a lot of things riding on this market that has been built over the last 7 years, and they can't just shut that down.
So this industry that's been built over the last 7 years, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that's at risk of being completely destroyed because of this ban. But turns out there may be an unlikely savior in President Trump because of that executive order which he signed to reclassify the good herb from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, but also because in that executive order there was a provision that Congress has to update the statutory definition of hemp so that it no longer bans all of these full-spectrum CBD products. And plus, according to this article, President Trump's order means that Congress must delay the federal hemp ban's timeline. Everything must be pushed back. And it's all because of that executive order which directs Congress to make that change. Have a look.
President Trump signed an executive order directing the DEA to reclassify cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Now, that eases restrictions on medical research, banking, and taxes. The administration also launched a Medicare pilot program, allowing some seniors, starting in April, to receive up to $500 a year in hemp-derived CBD products. Congress just passed a ban on all hemp products starting November 2026, including the very CBD products under this pilot. Now, the order does say that the White House will, quote, work with Congress to update the statutory definition of final hemp-derived cannabinoid products, but what that ultimately looks like remains to be seen.
So considering the fact that the executive order to reschedule actually speaks specifically to the federal THC hemp ban and calls on Congress to make changes, that's pretty interesting. But what's also interesting is that we're seeing a movement across multiple states to roll back legalization. And we've already told you guys about Maine and Massachusetts. But turns out now Arizona is also joining the mix. Because according to this article, Arizona ballot measure seeks to roll back legalization.
A new ballot initiative in Arizona would roll back key parts of the state's marijuana legalization law. Paperwork has been filed for a measure called the Sensible Marijuana Policy Act for Arizona, which would repeal commercial recreational marijuana sales approved by voters in 2020. The proposal would still allow adults to possess cannabis and grow up to 6 plants, keep the state's medical marijuana program intact, and preserve marijuana record expungement. If approved, the initiative would shut down Arizona's adult use cannabis market while leaving personal use legal, significantly changing how marijuana is regulated in the state. Supporters must collect about 256,000 ballot signatures before July 2nd to qualify for the ballot. If voters approve it, the changes would take effect in January 2028.
So you guys, this is absolutely crazy. This is not the first state that we've seen try to roll back legalization. And it's always these groups that sound really nice. Sensible Marijuana Policy Act for Arizona. Smart Approaches to Marijuana, or SAM. A lot of these groups, they sound like they're actually doing the right thing, but they're taking us 10 steps back. Now, like I told you guys already, this year we've seen a number of attempts to roll back adult use legalization laws in already legal states. Over in Maine, we've seen it happen. Over in Mass, we've seen it happen. And now the reefer madness craze is hitting Arizona. But Arizona's measure is slightly different, but to me, just as bad. While it would still allow folks to grow their own, it'll completely eliminate all sales. And all of this begs the question, is this the same group that sued the state 9 years ago in an attempt to block the voters from voting on recreational herb? Have a look.
Our top story tonight, the fight to keep the legalizing marijuana proposition off the ballot. The group Arizonans for Responsible Drug Policy has filed a lawsuit against the initiative. We sat down with the ARDP to discuss why they did this and met with the campaign to regulate marijuana like alcohol to get their response. The ARDP does not want the recreational marijuana initiative to make the November ballot.
It's 20 pages of law. It's the most wide-sweeping initiative to ever face the Arizona electorate, which will upend decades and decades of settled law.
They cite a number of issues that they believe are enough to get the initiative prohibited from the ballot. One of which is that the summary text on the signature sheet does not accurately reflect what the initiative actually says.
There is no possible way the entire warp and woof that this initiative impacts on Arizona can be described legitimately within the 100-word petition summary that the proponents have put forward.
The campaign to regulate marijuana like alcohol disagrees.
The problem is state law says we are limited to 100 words. And so you can't fit everything about every initiative into 100 words. So we are limited and by state law as to what we could really put on there.
The ARDP, however, doesn't buy their reasoning.
It is such a broad law, affecting so many aspects of Arizona and Arizona's communities, that it amounts to and constitutes a deception of the public, a fraud on the public.
But Marcin has some harsh words in response.
The language is pretty plain language. I don't think anyone who can read can think that this is fraud or that it's confusing.
It's pretty simple. The police nowadays only can do whatever the fuck they want to do when they're harassing your ass. Because besides that, they really can't do nothing these days. They just show up. They'll take somebody to jail if they have a good enough reason to these days. Or if they just was wanting to come take your ass to jail anyways, they can come take your ass to jail. Oh, you're going to jail, buddy. Just because I seen you and I'm having a bad day, first person I don't like is going to jail. And that's usually you. But me, I'm done with that lifestyle. I just sit my ass at home. Like right now, Happy New Year's Eve. You dig? Still doing what the hell we do. Yeah, consistent corn. But like you said, hell, some people don't like it.
Maybe they just have to go back to school to read.
So as you guys can see, prohibitionists have been trying to block the rollout of recreational herb for the last few decades. This ain't nothing new. But what may give prohibitionists fuel for the fire are stories like these which involve product recalls and potential poisonings. Check it out.
Several marijuana products are being recalled here in Arizona. Arizona health officials say a lab error may have allowed products contaminated with a pesticide to be mistakenly cleared for sale. So far, no illnesses reported. Officials say the recall is out of an abundance of caution. Consumers are being urged not to use the affected products, and a full list of those items that are being recalled are on our website right now.
Now, recalls are inescapable, in particular in states where they've rolled out recreational sales. And one of those states which is legal, but they have not rolled out recreational sales, is over in Virginia. In Virginia, you're allowed home grows and even possession, but you're not allowed to purchase. And that's simply because they've not rolled out recreational sales as yet. In fact, under the previous governor, Glenn Youngkin, it was consistently blocked. But now, according to...
I mean, you already know how I feel about that. They got home grow, so if you ain't ready to grow, hell, you're tripping, because how you gonna go get you some? But you still need it, so now you gotta grow it. Oh, yeah, get you a consultation. That's exactly what we talk about, indoor gardening. Get you a consultation with an indoor gardener. Hell, they'll get you right on track. It's not that hard.
This, Virginia's incoming governor lists the priorities that she wants in the sales legalization bill if she's gonna sign it. Now, Abigail Spanberger is the recently elected governor of Virginia. There are a lot of policy positions that she adopts that I'm not in agreement with. But one thing that I am in agreement with is that Virginia should roll out recreational sales for adult consumers. Because to me, it's just crazy that they pretty much legalized, but they've not rolled out any form of recreational sales. And according to this, and according to Governor Spanberger, a consumer should always know what they're buying. And so that means strong labeling. That means understanding the strength. If you go to buy a pack of beer, you know what percentage alcohol is in that beer. And in a recent interview, she was asked about this pointedly, and here's what she had to say.
So one of the last things I want to talk about is the marijuana retail marketplace. Yeah. This is clearly going to be a conversation moving into this General Assembly session. I know proposals are out there, but they haven't come across your desk yet, and that will happen after the session is kind of wrapping up. What would need to be in legislation regarding the marijuana retail marketplace to have you say, I'm on board?
So I love that question because it gets at the heart of it. So I'll speak for a second to what I think the challenges are and then what needs to be in the bill for me to sign it. The challenges are right now that we live in this gray space where there's some legality to marijuana, there's some illegality, there's a lot of questions, a lot of confusion, and that creates real problems for Virginians who might currently have the legal ability to buy it for medicinal needs, or for those who might, try to fall under the personal use. What I think is important is a consumer should always know what they are buying. And so that means strong labeling. That means understanding the strength. Just if you think about if you go and you buy a pack of beer, you know what percentage alcohol that beer is. You know what proof a liquor is. So you have an understanding of what it is that you're actually purchasing. I think that is extraordinarily important with all marijuana-related products. So it needs to be well-regulated, well-labeled, and the revenue needs to be part of ensuring, facilitating that regulation. And also with any new revenue stream, you get to decide where it goes. It is incredibly important to me that new revenue stream, in addition to going towards regulation, be invested in education.
Now, when states roll out legalized herb, there are tons of benefits. The state obviously gets taxes, consumers and residents are able to purchase and obtain some of these products, and businesses, employers, and employees, they're all able to thrive. But one thing that can completely destroy a thriving market is high taxes and high prices. And over in Michigan, we've seen some big changes that can also affect Ohio, and we're going to dig into it. But before we do, just a quick reminder, if you're getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or cop some merch from our merch store. We got that new one.
That's what's going to happen in Virginia. They're going to actually get that rollout, right? And shout out to that rollout. Optimus Prime. Y'all don't get that one. I don't know who he talked to. But anyways, he's like, yeah, that rollout. You know what I'm saying? They're going to come out with some Virginia weed. Then 6 months later, they're going to increase the taxes by 40%. Welcome to the game.
Grab it now. Use the code ICANN-THC before it's gone. And if you happen to be a home gardener, try the ICANN Organics.
It ain't even been a
it works
6
in the
month
bundle and
run.
the beans.
And Michigan marijuana prices are at historic lows right now, which is good for customers, but a growing concern for dispensary owners.
With a new 24% wholesale tax expected to take effect in the new year, there will be even more pressure on the industry because cities rely on the taxes for roads.
13 on your side's Kiara Patterson joins us now in studio to explain how those competing challenges are colliding. Kiara.
Yeah, the pressure is already being felt inside dispensaries where falling prices are reshaping the market.
A lot of people have coined the term racing to the bottom.
That race is showing up in the numbers. According to state sales data, the average price of an ounce of marijuana dropped to about $60 in November, down nearly 40% from 2 years ago. Total marijuana sales statewide were about $260 million last month, down roughly 3% from October. At Ascend Cannabis in Grand Rapids, General Manager Tara Alexander says oversaturation and a tighter economy are squeezing businesses.
We still have like $55 ounces, which is an incredibly great deal. But we also have $90 ounces, which are, really, really great as well.
But another pressure is coming. Starting January 1st, Michigan plans to add a 24% wholesale marijuana tax on top of existing excise and sales taxes, something dispensaries say could push prices back up.
So that's 34% they want to levy on our products just to pay for roads. And I think it's really unfair that the governor is essentially punishing the cannabis industry, because we were making millions and billions of dollars again 3 years ago.
Now that's something we've seen time and time again. Democrats, they love taxes. In fact, they love taxing legal markets to death. We've seen it over in California, here in Colorado, over saturation. You can also grab ounces for $55, and tons of local businesses are in fact suffering. There's just so much competition, which is great for the consumer, but when it comes to the businesses, they find it really difficult to turn a profit. And that's exactly what we're seeing over in Michigan, because their Democrat governor has implemented that crazy tax hike, which is going to cause all the products to become even more expensive. And according to this article, which we brought to you guys a few weeks ago, a Michigan judge allows the tax increase to take effect despite the industry lawsuit. But turns out now, the cannabis community over in Michigan is not taking that lying down, because they've appealed that decision following the judge allowing that wholesale tax to proceed. Have a look. Being in a situation where local and state government has no idea what they're doing, there's a complete lack of understanding of how the market functions, but there is a keen intent to completely destroy the market by implementing these high taxes. And what happens at the end of it all? Dispensaries are forced to shut down. And when dispos are forced to shut down, what happens to all their herb, all their products? Well, check it out, because it's pretty crazy.
Told you a lot about the rules and regulations for a person who wants to open a dispensary here in New Mexico.
Yeah, but what are the rules for those closing up shop? Morgan Stevens looked into this for everybody because, Morgan, a recent arrest at UNM is what really got the wheels turning for you.
That's right, Tessa Trevor. The suspect told police he got the drugs he had from a friend at a dispensary. We checked this out, though, and we talk to the dispensary, and in case you're wondering, those dispensaries, they can't just hand out large quantities of marijuana. We started asking questions after we came across the criminal complaint of Raider Garner. UNM police arrested him last week. Officers said he had about a pound of marijuana and 1 to 2 pounds of ultra-potent Keith on him. It's what Garner told police that grabbed our attention. He claims he got the drugs from a friend who was closing a dispensary. We called that dispensary and was told that friend he mentioned had never been employed there. But even if it were true, what are the rules for dispensaries closing their doors? And what needs to happen to any product left over? According to the Cannabis Association of New Mexico, those rules are strict.
And there's a whole long list of things that licensees are supposed to do when they destroy that product, including keeping it under camera for at least 72 hours and recording the destruction on video.
According to the owner of Sandia Botanical, the dispensary where Garner says he got the drugs, all of their products were sent to Las Cruces in compliance with Cannabis Control Division regulations. Advocates say when those rules are not followed, it hurts the people who do it the right way.
When somebody breaks the law like this or does something against the rules, it hurts everybody in the industry. It costs us a lot of time and a lot of money. And when other people are not playing by the rules, like this gentleman that was arrested, it puts a hurt on the rest of the industry. It's sending a signal that the rules don't matter.
So oftentimes when these businesses are forced to shut down, their products will be destroyed completely. It's a complete waste of all their hard-earned money and resources. So if the taxes are increased to such a high level that consumers are no longer purchasing from these shops and they're forced to close, that'll obviously cause a lot of issues to the economy. But it'll also make your store seem a whole lot less attractive to out-of-state customers. And some of those out-of-state customers that often frequent Michigan dispos are over in Ohio. And since just a few days ago, Governor DeWine over in Ohio signed a bill banning all intoxicating hemp products, including THC-infused drinks, Ohioans are probably going to be really upset by what's happening now over in Michigan.
Governor Mike DeWine just signed a bill banning hemp products that can get you high.
And he went even further, banning THC beverages too. Columbus Bureau reporter Morgan Trowell has been following this bill and has
THC
reaction from a
beverages.
small business that sells the stuff. We got you guys covered in 90 days.
Utter disappointment and sadness.
Hemp sellers like Meredith Farrow will have to get rid of some of their best-selling products. Low-level THC that Governor Mike DeWine calls intoxicating hemp.
It's not only incredibly sad for me and my finances personally, but it's incredibly sad for my employees. It's incredibly sad for my customers, for the people and individuals who depend on these products.
On Friday, DeWine signed a bill banning intoxicating hemp. These are products you don't buy in dispensaries, but can get in gas stations, smoke shops, and stores like Farrow's.
I'm a single mom of 2 kids, and
I
have
have
put
a
every
single mom
penny I
going
have
out.
into this business. Now they're taking my
Lord
business
knows
away.
she's
But
got
the
a hard
governor
enough
says
day.
that this law is long overdue. He has been begging lawmakers like House Speaker Matt Huffman to pass restrictions on hemp for years, as it is unregulated and has no age requirement to buy.
It's a gaping hole, and that includes liquids as well as the gummies that I was complaining about, been complaining about for some time. So again, no one intended this hemp law to open the door to basically unlimited THC.
They did not think that they would be taking these products, adding chemicals to them, and they becoming mind-altering products.
The bill originally allowed for breweries and stores with liquor licenses to still be able to sell THC drinks until the federal ban on hemp goes into effect next year. But the governor vetoed that, meaning all hemp that...
Oh, he said he vetoed it. I was getting ready to say it goes back to that video where I said, start you a fucking liquor store. It is way cheaper to start a liquor store, right? Shout out to Ms. Buck. Ms. Buck gonna be coming up in the story I'm telling later on as advertised in the thumbnail. For the people that are new, you don't even know what it's gonna do. Hell, we got something to talk about later on, but we watching our videos first, right? Maybe.
gets you high is illegal.
Cannot be sold.
Why? If they're regulated because they're in liquor stores or...
So there's a number of reasons my veto message. There's no comparability between alcohol and the THC. And so it's much more difficult to determine exactly what impact this would have on a person. Look, I don't think they're a good idea.
Until she has to pull the products off the shelves, Farrow says that she'll be fighting, and so will other hemp sellers.
You can be on the right side of history or the wrong side of history, and I think the voters will speak at the voting polls if you're on the wrong side of history.
But some sellers told us that they're considering a lawsuit to try to block the ban. At the Ohio State House, I'm Morgan Trout reporting.
Now, what really frustrates me here, guys, are the double standards. Everyone knows how bad alcohol is. It's absolute trash. That's the true mind-altering substance that a lot of folks consume on a regular basis. But applying that logic to the good herb, which obviously has a lot less of a drastic effect on tons of folks, they say, oh no, the good herb hemp, that needs to be banned instead. Now, there is a little bit of a nuance here because in Ohio, rather than the products being outright banned completely, instead, intoxicating hemp will only be sold at licensed dispensaries. Have a look.
Senate Bill 56 has officially been signed into law. For some, this is about losing access to products that they say they rely on. For local businesses like Heads Up Head Shop in Columbus, owners say it puts their future and employees at risk.
We're going to have to probably lay people off. Hours are probably going to be shortened, our operating hours, because there's just not, I can't pay somebody to be here if we're not making any money. I hope we can keep our doors open.
Inside Heads Up Head Shop, intoxicating hemp products line the shelves. Owner Melissa Fleming says customers use them for things like pain, anxiety, and sleep, and they account for about 40% of the store's sales.
We have to now get rid of thousands of dollars, probably tens of thousands of dollars worth of inventory in 3 months.
In less than 90 days, all intoxicating hemp products will be illegal to sell out of general retail shops. Instead, those products will be restricted to licensed marijuana dispensaries.
You have to be 21 to purchase these things. We're doing what we're supposed to. Why is it getting taken out of our hands? And the customers feel the same way. They're like, how is somebody going to tell me what I can and cannot do? It's unfair because what we voted for this is not it.
Governor DeWine says the ban is primarily motivated by public safety concerns and the need to prevent.
Look at Dwight though. He look like somebody's little old ass brother though. He ain't Professor X. He's Professor X's twin's first oldest son from 20 years in the future that didn't have nothing good to do. So he came back in time fucking with us. As an old ass man at that, like shit, I was almost gone. Then I remember my family history.
And access to children. But Fleming argues her family-owned store already follows strict rules. Now she says they're trying to sell what they can while preparing for the worst.
And that's a really sad position to be in for some of these businesses. Some of these business owners are 100% following the laws. They're not selling to kids. They're not doing any of that stuff. But now Peter has to pay for Paul because of a few bad actors. But let me know what you guys think about all this. Everything that we discussed in today's video. From some of those states taking steps to roll back legalization, Arizona joining the mix, to what's happening over in Michigan as well as in Ohio. Drop your thoughts and concerns in the comment section down below. Now in our next video, we're having a closer look at some of those legal states which are taking steps to roll back legalization. It's absolutely mind-blowing. If you haven't seen that, check it out. It's coming up right now.
See, I'm not the only one who recommends a video or a playlist that I already did. See, that's why we show y'all this stuff. Hell, I mean, it's easy. You already watch the videos. Might as well put on OBS and record you watching it. Get you some little pictures of shit you done did. Yeah, a little time lapse. What's that called? A picture video.
Back to 6.
I'll
Smoke
figure
this
it
shit
out.
on the
I'm
street.
high. Matter of fact,
Say
I'm
that
getting
hell is
dead.
getting high too. Everybody was doing it.
Shouts out to that.
Wasn't the thing to do because it was the thing to do. You know, it was a thing to do because it got you back.
I feel it. That's why I'm doing it. I feel it. Man, you cool as shit, mister. I hate to do it, but I gotta charge it. It's $60. $60. Yeah.
He said $60. Man,
I remember when the
that
dime
was
bag
one dab.
died.
Damn.
You know what I mean? You know how much condoms used to cost back in them days?
How much?
We never used them.
Charlotte Green used to be a local news reporter in Anchorage, Alaska, but she very publicly quit her job live on the air because she wanted to be a marijuana activist. Now, very, very recently, Alaska did legalize marijuana for recreational use. Charlotte Green was part of the campaign to legalize it for recreational use, and she actually is part of something known as the Alaska Cannabis Club. Now, unfortunately, local authorities raided the Cannabis Club because they thought that there would be illegal marijuana sales there. Even though voters did legalize marijuana for recreational use, that hasn't come into effect yet because the state lawmakers need to decide what the regulations will be on that recreational marijuana. So cops apparently raided the facility because they thought that, hey, maybe they're selling recreational weed even though they're not supposed to be. Now, according to the reports, Associated Press says that the police took marijuana and impounded a Dodge Dakota and a Jeep Liberty on Friday. And if you know anything about civil forfeiture, that probably means that the local police department will get to profit from keeping those things. Also, Charlotte Green did speak to the press about this raid, and she says, "We don't sell any recreational marijuana. We don't sell any medical marijuana. This is a place for card holders to come and share their own cannabis." And then she also said that she saw them uproot a couple of marijuana plants. They took some bongs and pipes and phones and computers, and that's pretty much it. But she also said that by opening back up bright and early, less than 24 hours after the local police department's failed scare tactic, we at the Alaska Cannabis Club have made it clear that the will of the people is stronger than any force they have, and we aren't going anywhere.
Damn, that's excellent. I love her attitude. And look about how ridiculous our laws are. You go to raid a place that's probably selling legal weed, right? And you're like, let me just take their cars instead.
It's ridiculous.
So, wait, but the cars have nothing to do with this. Like, the original idea behind this law theoretically was, A guy selling pot out of his car, he's using the car while selling the pot. That's part of the crime. We're going to impound the car, right? No. Now it's like, I don't know, there's a car in your parking lot. You're selling weed out in the open in your store, okay? Or you're having people come in with the weed and smoke it together, right? We all see it. Who cares? I'm going to carjack you anyway. I mean, we got the cops literally doing carjackings on people who are doing arguably something very, very legal.
Right. Now, no one has been charged with any crime, so it really was just a scare tactic. And another thing that I'd like to note is oftentimes the cops will make the argument that they are taking these possessions because it's part of their investigation. But oftentimes, even if someone is never charged with a crime, the cops oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes get to keep the cars, they get to keep the things that they took during their investigation, never return it, and the police department literally profits off of that. That's a huge part of the revenue. It's insane.
Often just sell the cars, right? And only 5% of the time do the people get their materials back, their property back. In this case, it happens to be a car. Only 5% of the time, right? So, and look, if you want to investigate to see if there's pot inside the car or other drugs, you can do that on the spot.
You don't need to take possession of the vehicle.
Yeah. No, they took it, man. They just stole it. And that's a carjacking. That's what the cops did, right? And so this war on drugs is stupid. It's done oftentimes to profit for the cops. So they feel like, oh, okay.
Damn. It seemed like it was within a couple of weeks ago that video, I had her quit. And she said, fuck this job. Literally dropped the... Yeah, she said it on TV. That's how you knew she wasn't coming back. She's like, yeah, fuck this job. For the people that don't like people that curse, well, we grown and words are to be used however you want to use words. Hell, now, I don't like it when you curse. Okay, now you're putting things you like upon me. This is why I don't talk to you, because you don't like the things that I say. Okay, you don't like the video, go ahead, leave. Or find the video I do have that you do like and rewatch it. Hell, you know how I am. I'll tell you to leave 1 minute, then I'll remind your ass to go run a playlist before you do go. Hey, but since you mad, run up some watch time hours for your boy, and then don't like my videos. Yeah, but watch them, but just don't like them.
He's an easy person to pick on. Everybody knows her, so oh yeah, we'll just come and take your car. Unreal. I'm obsessed about the car part because of the crazy injustice all throughout the country, not just in this case.
And I just want to give Charlotte Green props. Because one of the reasons why she quit her job as a reporter was because she had to report on the drug war. And it was something that obviously she had some bias in, some sort of vested interest in. And so she quit her job in that regard. But also, she's feisty. And I love that. I love that she's a fighter and she's not going to let the intimidation by the local police department stop her from doing what she knows she should be able to do.
She gonna be the 2026 Rosa Parks. Hey, and I'm not clipping these videos today. See, damn, man, that would have been a good one. And I hit you with a good one. It's the 2026 Rosa Parks. You got her car stolen for no good reason. How she had right back out of jail, opened the shop up right back the next day. But she had to Uber to work.
Allow me to introduce myself.
Hey, she said shit. I just had to Uber to work, Instead of putting gas in the car, that was Uber money.
You're taking the shit in my fucking chocolate factory. Easy, boss. Don't get upset. When I have to go to the dentist,
I'm upset.
When Liverpool beats Arsenal, I'm upset. But when some little shit decides to take over one of the most profitable territories in the country, I'm beyond fucking upset. I'm very fucking upset. So, from now on, you're under new management. You will work for me. And in return, you'll receive an allowance.
Allowance?
Yes, allowance. As in, I'm allowing you to keep 10%. And I'm allowing you to keep drawing breath on this earth. Now,
see, the only part about that is Riley did technically what he was supposed to do. He came in, started doing a job, right? The person that didn't like him doing the job that he's doing came to him and actually officially let him do the job now. So, you see what I'm saying? By him taking a deal, that 10% is money that you can actually just bank now, and you ain't got to worry about shit else. Now you can just do what you want to do. Oh, I want to sell the candy and get paid. Well, I'll just make sure Kenny gets sold in. Now I just get paid, right? Damn, Riley, it was that easy. But since it's my dude Riley, we ain't gonna take the easy way out and actually let this person who is a little bit aggressive get his way. Because, we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Hell, we don't tell you how the fuck we feel, because that's how the fuck we felt.
Either get down or you lie down. What's it gonna be, sunshine?
This wasn't no movie. The smart thing was to say yes, get up, and leave the room. But then I thought to myself, what if this was a movie? Look, fuck you, fuck the plane you flew in on, fuck them shoes, fuck those socks with the bell on it, fuck your gay-ass fairy faggot accent, fuck them cheap-ass cigars, fuck your yuck-mouth teeth, fuck your hairpiece, fuck your chocolate, fuck Guy Ritchie, fuck Prince William, fuck the Queen. This is America. My president is black and my Lambo is blue, nigga. Now get the fuck out of my hotel room. And if I see you in the street, I'm slapping the shit out of you.
I think this one spent so much time in the cinema. Teach this cheeky bastard a lesson.
Nobody fucking move! Oh man, this is bad.
What is this? A casting call for the Sopranos reunion? Do me a favour. Tell room service nobody here ordered the extra large whop with a side order of what?
Whoa!
He said, shit, let me make sure that they understand this situation with my negotiations.
If I asked you to name the worst drug policy in America, you'd probably say cannabis. As a lawyer and dispensary owner who fights these laws daily, I usually agree. But we might be wrong. While we've been focused on rescheduling and legalization, there is a second drug policy. Completely legal, totally mainstream, that is quietly draining more money from your paycheck and causing more death than the war on weed ever has. You probably don't even know the math on this yet, but it makes cannabis prohibition look like a rounding error, responsible for far more death and destruction to the American people. And it's right under your nose. You probably don't even know how big the math on this issue is. It involves a prescription medication that costs about $5 a month to make, that gets sold in the US for hundreds to roughly $1,000 a month. And it's all completely legal. Today, we're not picking sides between weed or anything else. We're asking a bigger question. What if the most destructive drug policy in America isn't just legal, it's prescribed by your doctor and encouraged by your insurer? This is the story of America's real worst drug policy, and it's happening in your medicine cabinet, not on the streets. It's draining your bank account, bankrupting healthcare systems, and costing the country trillions of dollars. It may blow your mind. It did for me. Let's start with our obvious candidate for the worst U.S. drug policy, cannabis. This one, you and I, we already agree on. On paper, the federal government still, even after Trump's little executive order, says cannabis is Schedule 1. High potential for abuse, no accepted medical use. In the real world, the federal government held patents describing therapeutic uses for cannabinoids. More than 11 states run billion-dollar state-regulated cannabis markets. Most Americans live in a state with some form of legal cannabis, so it's already really normal. However, the criminal code says, dangerous and punishable with life in prison, but they won't prosecute you if you are compliant with your state license. And the tax code says, thank you for your payment on gross profits, because it is a Schedule 1 drug. That Section 280E of the tax code says you cannot deduct the costs of doing business like any other business. And all of your transactions, all of them, are money laundering. So it is really hard for you to get a bank account. But there is a federal guidance from the Department of Treasury for how to compliantly bank cannabis. So, not all money laundering is, money laundering. If this confuses you, you are not alone and can see why, if you're scoring the country's worst drug policy on hypocrisy alone, cannabis is number one by a country mile. Not only that, you have selective enforcement of the law, tax audits. Now, if we look beyond the economics to address the crimes, cannabis prohibition nationwide was estimated to save about $7 to $10 billion a year on enforcement costs, police, courts, corrections, Recent figures say marijuana arrests have declined from over 500,000 in 2019 to just under 200,000 in 2024. That's because the feds have stepped back from enforcement, especially for simple possession, and the states have legalized into that enforcement vacuum. 8 years ago, there were around 10,000 federal cannabis prisoners. Today, there are less than 3,000. So we are trending on the right path with our state-by-state legalization. Enforcement costs have dropped off a cliff from more than $3.6 billion in 2010 to less than $1 billion today. And with legal medical marijuana nationwide, we can expect even more savings. We've already discussed cost savings as arrests have dropped, but there's more cash on the table for the cannabis policy. As we've stopped burning that money on arrests and started stacking it through taxes, states now collect nearly $25 billion total, $4 billion annually, from the very plant they spent decades demonizing. So we all agree the war on drugs was a failure of justice and common sense. But as the government cashes those checks, we have to ask the uncomfortable follow-up. How can you justify punishing a citizen for the exact same transaction that is now balancing the state's budgets? And that is the cannabis drug policy, our Exhibit A, when you follow the money. This Exhibit B doesn't involve arrests. It doesn't involve anyone going to prison. But if you look at your latest insurance premium, you are paying for it, and you just don't know it. That's why almost nobody thinks of it as drug policy. But economically and for the public harm, it lives in a class of medications called GLP-1s, semaglutide and tirzepatide, Mounjaro, I believe that one is, and they have a few other cousins. These treatments sit at the top of America's most expensive disease cluster: diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular risk. Diabetes alone costs about $400 billion a year in the United States. Excess weight adds roughly $1.7 trillion a year, call it about $2 trillion-ish a year, drag on the economy. Now, a quick disclaimer before we touch the prices: this is not medical advice. GLP-1s are prescription medications with risks and side effects. Talk to a licensed clinician. These are serious prescription treatments, and they are not for everyone. We're not telling anyone to take them. We're only talking about math and drug policy for educational purposes. Independent researchers have estimated that a month of semaglutide can be manufactured with reasonable profit and taxes included for between 89 cents and $4.73. In the U.S., the list price for a 30-day supply of a major GLP-1 product has been around $1,000, with retail cash prices for Wegovy near $13.50 a month. Even with some newer direct payment programs under Trump RX, many patients still see $300 to $500 a month costs. This is not planned in Schedule 1. This is a legal, FDA-approved medication whose manufacturing cost is under $5, routinely billed at hundreds to over $1,000 a month, thus keeping millions of people from using them and costing us trillions of dollars. If cannabis scheduling is how you ruin drug policy of the freedom axis, GLP-1 pricing is how you ruin drug policy on the greed axis. Now, if you ask the manufacturer, why is the price so high? They'll tell you, well, we need all these profits to incentivize research, as if AlphaFold and AI don't exist in 2026. They'll say that we don't actually keep all of the money, and they're not completely wrong on that. We have inflators in our U.S. drug economy: pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs. These are powerful, invisible middlemen between the drug makers, your insurer, and the pharmacy. So here's their game. This is why your bill is so high. The PBM tells the manufacturer, we control access to the insurance network. If you want your drug covered, you need to give us a massive secret rebate. So the manufacturer sets an official list price artificially high, say $969 a month, just so they can give the PBM a huge confidential cut and still make their profit. The PBM calls this negotiation. Economists call it a perverse incentive. And what do you call it? Leave it in the comments. Me, I'm more plain spoken. I'd call it BS. But I would spell out those two letters if this was not a video that we're trying to comply with the terms of service on. If you're on a high deductible plan, or if you're uninsured, you're stuck paying the price close to that inflated list price. The middleman walk away with the rebate, and you walk away with the bill. Or you don't even go get a GLP-1 or go to the doctor. So right? let's go get the pitchforks and torches. This is horrible, horrible drug policy. While we're out there arguing about drug dealers on street corners, the real pricing power is sitting in conference rooms, trading spreadsheets and rebates, and people get sick and die. If you want to feel even worse, look at your passport. We're not the only country using these medications. In many European countries, the out-of-pocket cost of a month of a GLP-1 product is often in the ballpark of $60 to $300 US, depending on the insurance and negotiated rates. In Canada, typical prices are lower than the US, often closer to the low hundreds. In the United States, we've been staring at list prices near $1,000 a month and retail cash prices historically in the $1,000 to $1,200 range before discounts. Same molecule, same manufacturer, completely different prices. Why? Why? Because most high-income countries say, we will not pay more than X for this medication. The U.S. approach has been charge what you can get away with, pay your congressman, and we'll argue about it later. This just isn't about healthcare. It's about a transfer of both health and wealth from American workers to the global pharmaceutical and financial systems. We are effectively subsidizing lower prices elsewhere with our premiums and our tax dollars for our crappy health outcomes. So what if we just fixed this one piece of this crazy crap on a stick policy? Not nationalizing the whole system like other developed nations, because lobbying and profits instead of the American people. We just stop treating a $5 a month molecule like a $1,000 a month luxury product. Policy-wise, how do we fix this? Well, let's call it patents for patients. Right now, companies use our patent system as a shield to extract wealth from the sick and dying. Our deal says you get to make a profit, you don't get to make a killing. We don't need magic to enforce it. We already have the tools that we need right now. First, there's Medicare negotiation. We stop asking nicely. We use Medicare's new powers to set a ceiling on those essential drugs. Second, PBM reform. We got the rebate game. No more high list prices to fund secret kickbacks. We lower the sticker price at the pharmacy counter, not just the net price at a corporate spreadsheet. And third, there is actually a nuclear option out there that's already on the books. For extreme cases, we put the compulsory licensing from 28 U.S.C. Section 1498 on the table. The message is simple. If you refuse to price a life-saving drug fairly, the government will license it to someone else who will. You still get paid a royalty, but you lose the monopoly. The policy goal here is pretty simple. Move GLP-1 type treatments into a generic-like price zone. Call it $25 a month for the highest risk patients, people with diabetes, prediabetes, severe obesity, or major cardiovascular risk. We save frickin' hundreds of billions. We're starting at roughly $400 billion a year in diabetes, $1.7 trillion tied to excess weight-related disease, and thousands of deaths. Even with modest reductions in complications, fewer heart attacks, fewer strokes, fewer new dialysis patients, it translates into tens of billions of dollars saved. Actuarial modeling suggests that if GLP-1 medications are priced closer to manufacturing costs and targeted at scale to these high-risk groups, the United States could plausibly save on the order of $150 to $300 billion a year across private insurance. And Medicare and Medicaid combined, that's so much that it should just make you want to straight up go Jesus and start flipping over the money counter tables. Let me aggravate you a little bit more with something you may actually feel. Premiums and out-of-pocket costs. Today, a typical employer-sponsored family plan can easily run over $20,000 a year, around $1,800 a month in total premiums. Individual plans commonly land in the $500 to $700 a month range. Chronic metabolic disease is a huge part of that. If you reduce that burden by 15 to 30%, and for example, in the highest cohort by using affordable GLP-1 therapy, you're realistically looking at something like 8 to 15% premium reduction. And that might not sound like much, but that could literally mean hundreds of dollars a month in savings in your health insurance costs. Fixing GLP-1 economics doesn't just help patients who take the medication. It reduces the number of 5- and 6-figure claims that drive everyone's costs through the roof. The $50,000 ICU stay that never happened, the $90,000 of dialysis that never starts, the $70,000 amputation that doesn't happen? And what about the years of lost earnings that never have to be sacrificed? So let's put the two levels next to one another. Level one, cannabis policy and reform. It saves around $7 to $10 billion in historic enforcement costs, $4 to $5 billion a year in tax revenue, about $20 billion so far. Plus, it stops arresting people for a plant. And it allows for medical advancements in real science into cannabis. So the verdict on level one, essential for justice and government trust. But level two, the GLP-1 pricing and coverage, it's like $2 trillion a year in metabolic disease problems. It has a realistic path to over $150 to $300 billion a year in savings if we price it rationally and target it well. And it could ease pressure on insurance premiums for all of us. It could prevent thousands of heart attacks, strokes, kidney failures, and early deaths. So like the verdict on level two is essential for the long-term survival of our healthcare system. So like if the question is which policy is about civil liberties and repairing historical wrongs, cannabis, no-brainer, that carries the day. But if the question is drug policy is costing the U.S. the most, it's GLP-1 policy. And if you're here because you want cannabis legal, you're already on the right side of drug policy. It matters. We should keep pushing until cannabis is legalized and regulated. But this video is not about what we should fix. Because while we focus on a plant that never should have been criminalized, we quietly accept a system where a $5 a month treatment is priced at hundreds to thousands of dollars a month in a country drowning in preventable metabolic disease. One policy jailed people who never should have been criminals. The other policy quietly gouges sick people and their families until the system buckles. And if that bothers you, share this. Drop a comment. Tell me whether you think a $1,000 price tag on a $5 medication is innovation or the real crime. Because if confusing drug policy had a Hall of Fame, cannabis would absolutely be in it. But GLP-1 pricing, that might be the MVP. Consider giving us a like and a subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. And here's another great video starting right now.
There have been eyes on this house for months.
So a couple individuals were inside.
Aurora police knew how many people lived here.
Can you watch him?
And why the SWAT team needed to roll up armed with undercover officers whose faces and cars we can't show to protect them.
There was a fire, a grass fire, behind the address next door to our target address. Some of our Aurora fire folks came out, recognized some signs of possible marijuana grow at our target location.
Officers busted 2 houses this day.
All the plants, the growing plants, were found in the garage.
And Aurora police say they do this as many as 150 times a year, carrying out raids and pulling illegal marijuana out of homes.
Before the legalization, we may have done 10 a year at the most. So there's a huge increase. That's what required us to actually put together a marijuana team to do the enforcement.
Now they're using legal marijuana tax dollars to help fund their black market battle, one they saw coming but didn't know how bad it was going to be.
You know, we get home invasion robberies, we get burglaries, things like that happen at these houses. Sometimes homes are mistaken. They go to the house next door to where the actual grow is taking place. 2 houses, we've seen really some significant alterations to the electrical. None of this work at either house is up to code.
That ends up being the homeowner's problem, even though their renters are often placed there by international criminal groups like from Cuba and China.
About 7 pounds of packaged marijuana that's obviously ready to be shipped all over the country.
We saw a for sale sign right across the street from one of the busted houses and talked to a person off camera interested in buying who didn't really seem fazed.
I think that the consumer in Denver is pretty desensitized to the issue of marijuana.
Matt Leprino with the Colorado Association of Realtors agrees. He pulled up home prices in the Tollgate neighborhood in Aurora, where high-end homes were raided by Aurora police and the DEA in the fall, and found that the median home price had dropped 1% 10% since then.
The metro area in that same time since the toll gate crossing incident has only increased by 2.6%, whereas the year before it was closer to 8%.
That means the entire metro area had a price slowdown, not just the neighborhoods who have seen these raids. Loprito says a one-time bust would not kill prices, but if it becomes a reoccurring problem, it could make a dent.
If you do suspect it, paying extra attention to electrical, HVAC, and even plumbing issues.
Why would we be treated any differently at this level?
The people working within the law,
There's opportunities to do this the legal way.
like Justin Henderson, are disappointed because they've put in the time and resources to make sure they deliver quality.
You know, when I started my first store in 2008, it was about $30,000 in DTC, and it was a nice store. My last store took about $500,000.
But money dictates this story. Black market marijuana can sell for as much as $3,500 a pound out of state, while legal Colorado weed can sell for about half that, up to $1,800, keeping the black market and police in business.
Job security, I guess. I've been doing this a long time. You know, we've my marijuana team's been up and running since 2011, and we just keep rolling. We just keep hitting more and more and more of them.
In Aurora, Anusha Roy, not.
Hey everyone, happy holidays from all of us here at TDR, and welcome into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Today I'm going to look at a part of the cannabis industry that doesn't always get headlines, but it's going to play a huge role in who succeeds and who struggles, especially going into the new year. So as we move closer to 2026 with rescheduling and industry consolidation taking shape, how cannabis has grown is becoming one of the biggest, if not the biggest, separating factor in the market. You got to grow good quality. So to better understand that, we're going to take a closer look at cultivation practices and use Advanced Nutrients as a case study to show how premium cannabis is actually produced behind the scenes. This is a company we've been focusing on for a number of months. We've had Big Mike on a lot of times. He's very smart, very educated. So let's look at how premium product has grown, because let's face it, who does that in 2026 is going to separate themselves from the pack in what's going to be a transformational year in the cannabis industry. So let's get into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. Okay, let's begin, because the cannabis industry is growing up. As regulations evolve and more capital is going to enter the space, the focus is shifting away from hype and towards execution. So one thing is becoming very clear: not all cannabis created is equal. That is for sure. So in many legal markets, there's more supply than demand. So that puts pressure on prices, especially for average or lower quality flower. But premium cannabis, as we've learned, flower that looks good, smells strong, tastes clean, and delivers consistent effects, tends to hold its value better. Of course, Captain Obvious. So companies that can reliably produce that level of quality, they often see stronger margins and better relationships with retailers and consumers. Again, this is stuff that we know, but not enough companies are doing it. So that gap is going to grow this year, and the industry is becoming more competitive. The growers who can consistently hit high standards are the ones most likely to survive, grow, or even become acquisition targets. Think about that. So it all starts where? In the grow room. So next up, to understand how premium cannabis gets produced at scale, it helps to look at the companies that support growers directly. So let's now look at, as I said, Advanced Nutrients. As we know, this is a company that has been focused entirely on cannabis cultivation since 1999. So unlike general plant or agricultural suppliers, their products are indeed designed specifically for cannabis plants. Fast forward to today, and their nutrients are used by growers in more than 120 countries across both small home grows and large commercial facilities. So one of the biggest challenges growers are facing right now is maintaining the right balance of nutrients and pH levels. As we know, cannabis plants are extremely sensitive. So if the pH is off, that plant can't properly absorb nutrients, even if those nutrients are present. So as we look at the company Advanced Nutrients, they developed a system, and it's called pH Perfect, which helps keep nutrient solutions concentrations in a range cannabis plants prefer, reducing the need for constant manual adjustments, and that is key. So instead of selling one-off products, the company is now taking a system-based approach, and that is offering nutrients and supplements that work together from the beginning of a growth cycle all the way through harvest. So if you're a grower in this industry, pay attention here. So next up, how do these products fit into a grow operation? So at a basic level, growing cannabis well means giving the plant what it needs at the right time. And let's face it, doing that consistently. So Advanced Nutrients' core products, they include base nutrients often referred to as Grow, Micro, and Bloom. These in return provide essential elements like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, along with smaller nutrients that plants also need to stay healthy. So the goal in all this is to support steady growth while reducing common problems that can hurt yield or quality, and that is key for a lot of MSOs. So as plants move into the flowering stage, growers often use additional products designed for that phase. So let me give you an example. Bloom stage supplements are used late in the grow cycle to support bud developments as plants approach that harvest. There are also products focused on root health and nutrient uptake. So healthy roots then help plants absorb nutrients more efficiently, which is essentially important in large, fast-paced commercial grows where consistency matters, and that is something we have not seen enough of. Even experienced growers, they deal with plant stress from time to time. Of course they do. That's where recovery products then come in. Tools designed to help plants bounce back if they indeed show signs of deficiency and imbalance. So finally, towards the end of the growth cycle, flushing products are used then to help remove leftover nutrients from the plant. So this step then can improve the final quality of the flower and support more consistent results after harvest. Again, very important. So really to help growers stay on track, Advanced Nutrients also provides feeding charts and digital tools that make it easier to repeat successful growth cycles across different rooms or facilities. So we factor all this in. How does all this connect then to the bigger picture? As cannabis moves towards rescheduling and becoming more attractive to larger investors, companies are being evaluated more closely. It's no longer about who has licenses, it's about who can operate efficiently and produce consistent, high-quality product. That's how companies grow. So grow facilities that can demonstrate predictable yields and reliable quality, they tend to stand out. So that consistently lowers risk, which matters to investors and potential buyers. In contrast, operations that constantly deal with crop issues or uneven results, they face higher costs and fewer strategic options, which you see every quarter when people report their latest earnings. So this indeed is where cultivation inputs quietly play a role. They're not flashy, but they help create stability. And going into 2026, this is needed because this is an industry that's going to see consolidation. Stability and repeatability matter more than ever going into the new year for a lot of companies. Actually, all of them if you want to survive. So here is the bottom line in all this. As the cannabis industry enters into a new phase, premium production indeed is becoming the baseline for the industry. Companies that invest in better systems, better processes, and more consistent cultivation practices are indeed positioning themselves for long-term success. That is obvious. And when we look back at Advanced Nutrients, again, they serve as a useful example of how cultivation inputs support that shift. Not as a shortcut, but as part of a disciplined approach to grow better cannabis at scale. So for growers, operators, and investors alike, you really need to understand what happens inside the grow room because it's just as important as following policy headlines. That's the next stage in all this, everyone. You've seen us have Big Mike on. He's been in this industry for decades and he provides a lot of good insight. But I also think it was important here today to really highlight the products they provide and the help they can provide a lot of the MSOs that are going to need to produce better yields, especially as we head into the new year. All right, everyone. Again, happy holidays. That's it for latest TDR Cannabis in 5. If you like this breakdown of this video, leave your comments below. As well, stay connected. We got the top 10 developments of 2025 coming up later this week. So make sure to like, subscribe, and smash on that bell for all notifications and stay connected with us here at TDR. That's it for now, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your time off. We'll see you in the next video. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and thanks again for watching.
Welcome to this game of whack-a-mole. Think of this hammer as local law enforcement.
and these minions of illegal pot shops in Kern County. No matter how hard police try to whack them down, they keep popping back up.
There's a high demand. There's a lot of medical patients in Kern County.
A line you'll frequently hear, it's California. Weed is legal. That's the case in most places across the state, but Kern is one of a few counties you cannot buy or sell marijuana, recreational and medicinal. So pot shops like these are all illegal.
Some of the crimes are infractions, some are misdemeanors, some are felonies.
On January 31st, 4 shops were raided and 10 people arrested. Budville, Bombay, BMC, and Superior Meds, some of which have been shut down before.
There have been instances where we do repeatedly go back on certain shops, and others, sometimes they shut down, sometimes they might be renamed.
On February 4th, another 3 shops were raided. Knott's Collective,
From summer's end till the winter comes, till gray days turn to yellow ones. I stay grinding for mine. I try to tell them once, to travel to the moon, you gotta brave the elements. And battle many goons, you gotta cage the elephants. It's elementary, I speak with a certain eloquence. I smoke hella blunts, a habit I've been developed since I was a young boy playing the silver ball. See them stand, feel them fall, Metallica kill them all. Living like this is my last moment, but a moment could last forever. Snap a picture in that colon. Give whatever you going, sip in your glass, hold it up. Hit the side on mine, get the tip in the back, go in. So So many days we were sitting low. Better get busy living till the day you giving and then get to go where the sinners go. Pulling the cash and spend it slow. Better make it fast, but them should know. Matter no money, yo, it's all expendable. You'll be alright, yeah.
The fabric of reality wasn't supposed to tear like this. Goku's fingers pressed against his forehead, ki surging through every cell as he
launched into the DC universe. But anyways, so y'all already know, we're at the point of the video where we can actually talk about what I said we was going to talk about. So let's see. Because I don't know why it ain't pulling up the big homie. Give us one of these beats to listen to. Hell. You know, get something lucrative going. Yeah. Appreciate them. Look at that machine. He said, shit, that's a dream. Nah, that's a reality. We'll go get that son, bitch. Ooh-wee. See, I love how you got the full albums on here. But anyways, it was New Year's 1999. Yes, I said 1999. It was that year, New Year's Eve. It was getting ready to turn 2000 the next day versus 2026. Because we already had 25 years of chilling in the 2020s, right? Anyways, I was kidding with the homie. Spent the night at his crib doing the whole New Year's thing, right? First time I smoked weed. Boom. There you go. Story told. Like to hear it? There it went.